The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. Without achievements, we'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 85. You can also contact us with questions and comments at Twitter. That's at Z2Z, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D. Over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. Well, this week we've got no Prue. He's off gallivanting at some sort of stag party or something. I don't know. That's what he said.
He's gonna come visit me tomorrow. Actually, he's up in my neighborhood.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Stopping by.
That's right. And there, of course, you hear is Randy. he's back after his 2 weeks. Are you in the old country still, or are you at home now?
No, I'm back, unfortunately, to miserable upstate New York.
And that's different from miserable Canada, right?
No, Canada's okay.
Okay. Did you go to California at all, too?
I did. Yeah, it was a very busy trip.
So I've been playing this phone game that I don't know if you've listened to Major Nelson's podcast at all. And they talk about Mini Metro all the time. I don't know if you've ever heard of this game.
Wait, is this? I assume this is not a Windows Phone game. This is just generally a mobile game.
Yeah. I assumed it was on just iOS. And anyway, so like. It was on sale over the 4th of July, and it was like $1. And so I was like, oh, hey, they've been talking about this. It's been kind of fun. So I'll just take a look at that. And so I just downloaded it, and it is so damn addicting. And it's just like literally you're just connecting shapes with lines, and that effectively is if you're looking at a map of a subway or a metro, some sort of city public transportation. And so what I'm envisioning now is because everything I see now is this map grid layout, and so I'm thinking, oh, Randy started in New York, and so there's that, and then just draw a line to California, and then he's going to go up, and then he's going to come back, and I got a nice little loop there. And so that's efficient, and my brain is all scrambled from this.
I actually went to Canada first, then.
Oh, so you went that way. Okay,
New York. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, you brought a guest with you.
I did,
and I'm completely in the dark here. I have no knowledge of this person, and so I'm going to kick it over. The one thing I have gleaned based on things that have been typed into various areas is that his name is Zach. So Zach, welcome to the Z to Z Podcast. How are you tonight?
Hello, I'm not too bad. So far, so good. It's 8 years, so not too late. I think that's later than you or earlier than you.
Oh, that's right. You're on West Coast time.
Yeah,
okay.
He's back in the old country. Back in my hometown.
Look at
we were
that.
Hanging out just last week or something. I don't even remember now. I've kind of lost track of time.
Yeah, time flies.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
well, that prompts my first question is, Zach, do you know Randy's real last name?
Oh, I know it, but not off the top of my head.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing I know.
Okay. Are you confirming that it's 2727? Is that?
Yeah.
Or are you going to out him on the radio and broadcast
just
his
remember,
name for everybody?
It has to go through my editing, so no one will actually know.
Oh, that's right. We'll hear like a chicken noise if he actually says it, right? Okay.
I need a new censor sound for my last name. It doesn't get the bleep bloop. It gets something else.
Something else, yeah. Different level of profanity.
Just rain.
Yeah. Or you could just overdub 2727.
That's true. I could do that. That would be funny.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we'll get to all that fun stuff in a little bit, but before we do, I do have a couple of housekeeping things I want to touch on. First of all, so excited, and of course we're recording and we're playing time zone crazy fun here because you guys are going to hear this on Wednesday, and today's Friday. Tomorrow, I'm having the first Z to Z Minneapolis meetup, and so it sounds like we're going to have a nice little contingent. We're going to a little brewery in the cities here. They have and I think I mentioned this before, an unlocked arcade cabinet of Turtles in Time. You guys remember that? that game?
I haven't. I know of it, but I've never played it. Is that one of the like Konami arcade beat 'em ups, kind of like Simpsons?
Yes, totally like Simpsons. Yes.
Oh yeah, that'll be a blast.
Oh,
How
it's
many
a
people
hoot.
can
Yeah,
play that one?
4 players.
Oh, nice.
But
That'll
yeah,
be
you
fun.
get unlimited, right? No money, and it's unlimited creds. And so, like, I think collectively we're just gonna beat that. And
So is that just free when you go there?
Yeah, well, so they've unlocked there's the button, so that you can hit that you've charged it. Well, they've disabled that, and so you can just hit that unlimited times and just can go up to 99. But like people still put money into it, like just because you're not used to it, right? It says a quarter.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got a quarter. Yeah, I'll just pop it in there. But like you can just I had a friend who was like, I have put so much money into that machine. I wish you guys told me it was free. So yeah, we're having this. So the Z meetup, it'll be fun, and I'll talk all about it next week's show. I won't talk about it well, maybe I will, because I'm doing the intro. I won't be here next week's show for the main part of the show. Of course, I can't not talk on the show, so I'll record a separate bit because
you'll just record your own show that's as long as our show.
Yep. The part A with Fream, the egotistical maniac, and part B, the rest of the show where you actually talk about video games. The other thing I want to mention is the Leapfrog has started over at trueachievements.com. So we'll be kind of chronicling our, any Z participants in that with the roundup. Now, granted, it's per week, and so I'm not sure how well we can do that, but we'll keep a little leaderboard going. Planting and I have kind of tried to make it so that it's still accessible for the casual, yet it's not going to take 120 days because we
saw that.
Yeah, we kind of tried to ramp it up enough to make it like unattainable after 3 or 4 weeks. But there's going to be somebody who's going to prove me wrong and just be obnoxious. Like it's going to happen. I just know it. I just know it. So we'll see. We'll see how long that goes. But those are some fun things that are happening. And then finally, our Patreon, patreon.com/Z2Z. We're back at our second goal. We dropped down a little bit with some changes, but now we're back. So again, thank you so much to everybody who is, pledging to donate. By the time this show comes out, we will have collected money for the first time, which I'm really excited about. And from that list, we'll be dishing out either a game code or a prize of some type. We will give back to the community in some regard. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to be. I will talk to the winner. I'm just so excited. Thank you so much for everybody in the community for all of your generosity, your kindness, and your support. It means the world to me that you guys are willing to throw a couple bucks our way just to for whatever little entertainment we provide. We do our best. So thank you. And I'm dishing out high fives tomorrow because I know some of even though I'm going to preemptively do it, even though technically they can still back out in 2 days, but I'm still going to give out high fives, like I mentioned. So we'll try to cash out the best we can.
What are you going to do if you give them the high five and then they back out? They already got the reward.
Well, so then the next meetup, I'm going to punch them in the mouth.
Good choice.
That'll be I think that'll be the backup plan. So, all right, why don't we start with our? We'll go into our guest. We should get to know our guest, and then we can talk about wins and games and all that stuff. So we will. Let's find out about Zach. Okay, so we got our guest, Zach. So I guess let's start by the idea here is that you're not an achievement guy, but you, in theory, do play video games. Is that correct?
That is indeed correct. Yeah, in theory, play video games. I like to think I play video games, but yeah, I've never hunted for achievements directly.
Do you consider? Do you consider yourself where on the scale of hardcore would you say you are in terms of gaming? Now, of course, not achievements, just gaming. Would you say like hardcore as F or super casual? Give me my phone, or where on this gradient would you maybe put yourself?
Oh, see, you guys, achievement hunters, from what I understand, are pretty crazy here. So if you guys were like an A and an F was like a guy that only plays like that bird game, I would probably be like a C plus B range. Like, I like to play competitive games and I like to win, but I don't necessarily collect any achievements or care about the goals that the game creators have set out.
Sure. how many hours a week would you say you typically play?
Oh, like I try for like 2 or 3 a day.
Okay.
So a solid like 20 a week.
Well, that's like me. And what what do you tend to gravitate toward? Do you have a favorite game, a game type, a genre? You said competitive. What does that mean?
Yeah, I like competitive games. So like I like first person shooters. Diablo's not competitive. I like StarCraft though. StarCraft's fairly competitive. I don't play too much of that anymore. I did play a lot of League of Legends, which is the scum of the earth, but
yeah,
I've been there. So
my brother was big into that too. It's a dark black hole.
That's why I avoid MOBAs, because I know I played like 2 matches and I was already into it.
Yeah,
because I know if I went down that rabbit hole, it's a mess. It's also why I kind of avoid a lot of RuneScape, because I really like that game. I know if I started playing it again, it would be a disaster. So I just don't. I try not to.
That's like being an alcoholic and just I'll just be one sip. That's all I need. One sip. Yeah, that's never a wise choice. Zach, how long you been gaming? Like you a lifer?
Gaming. I've been PC gaming for 5 years, and then before that, I had a PlayStation 3, I think. Okay. And then I just kind of played whatever came out on disc. Like, that's how my PlayStation game worked, like the AAA titles. I still like AAA titles, but it's been a rough while for AAA titles.
We'll get to that.
You sound, I mean, there's a slight level of, raininess in your voice. Am I catching that? Is that why you and Randy got along so well? Is that you just both inherently think the world is falling apart? And well, I think the world's falling apart too, just not in gaming. I just think everything else is terrible. But is that do you share his level of cynicism?
Yeah, part of my gaming as myself as a gamer, I do like AAA titles. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't like the prettiest graphics, the newest thing, the biggest open worlds. Like, when they advertise these, I get excited for that. I'm like, I want to see that, I want to play that, I want to be that. I like to be that I like AAA games at the forefront. Indie games are great too; they're lots of fun. But I've always kind of bought the AAA titles and played into them, and just it hasn't been good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can tell them. So the Lie Engine is very famous on this show. I love to mention the Lie Engine, and you came up with the idea originally, I believe. It was E3 a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, it's just when my soul finally got crushed, because you pay
the end of it.
These games are so expensive now, and they really sell you on these amazing things, and every year they push the next genre of games, and they really sell you on, this is finally the year where we're stepping into next gen. And it feels like for the last 4 or 5 years now, we've been stuck in the current gen or same gen, and AAA titles don't really ever push forward, but they always sell you that they are. Every year's the next gen, and we just never get there. And they show us next gen things, and they're not running on whatever we have now. It's sad.
It's running on the Lie Engine. Ubisoft exclusive.
Are you pretty happy with your rig? Do you feel like you got a decent gaming rig, or is it a little aged, or you been keeping up with that, or how?
As far as my gaming rig goes, I keep up with it. Right now, I have a 970 and an i5,
okay.
So it can run most games at high, pretty well. I have a 1920 by 1080 monitor too, which isn't super demanding, like 1440p. Then we're talking a little worse for my PC. But anything at 1080p, it runs perfect. Okay. Gotcha. Big L wants to know, do you have like a favorite game? I mean, you mentioned a few there. Do you have a favorite game? Right now, my favorite game would have to be Overwatch. I really like Overwatch. Blizzard is a company that I still kind of have faith in. They tend to do a good job, and they deliver on what they promise most of the time.
Yeah.
So you kind of get what you pay for. Like, StarCraft's always been good. Diablo 3 is good. I've never played World of Warcraft, but the latest Blizzard game was Overwatch, and they sold you on a clean, smooth-running FPS kind of arcade shooter game that is competitive.
Yeah.
And they really delivered on that. I think they did a good job. And they said they'd continue support for it, and they have done that so far. So they haven't lied to me yet, so I play that game a fair bit.
Well, that's good. There's a little bit of a ray of sunshine there. That's not so bad.
More than I can say for me.
What about, like in StarCraft, can you be competitive in that, or have you
played StarCraft?
No. Oh, I mean, yes.
Oh my goodness.
I play StarCraft like I play SimCity. where it's like, oh, I'm just going to build my town. Yep. And then I'm just going to have a nice little army here. This will be great. And then the second someone Zerg rushes me, I'm like, damn it. I didn't plan for that. I'm dead. No,
trying to play StarCraft competitively it is stressful. I sweat more than that than I do doing anything else. Like, I could go for a run on a hot day, which just never happens. And I would still sweat more playing a game of StarCraft.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Is that like when we were playing Risk? Like that?
Oh, that was intense. Except...
Like the actual board game Risk or a video game Risk?
A board game Risk, because we had a really... I guess this was like a week and a half ago. We had like the craziest game of Risk I've ever played. It was amazing. And it came down to, there's this huge battle, because you know how Risk goes. You get to the end, and it's just like, this is the last turn. Like,
yep, you just push all your armies to the fronts.
Yeah, people turn in all their cards, move everyone. So this game, like this final battle, came down to who was going to take out the last remaining person that only had one territory left, and there were three of us that still had a substantial hold, and then there was one person that we knew was going down that turn and had one unit left.
Yep.
So it comes down to this last battle where it's 1-on-1, and that dice roll determined the outcome of the game, and it was just. We did it. I don't remember if it started as 1-on-1 or it ended as like, the person attacking lost all their unit. It was crazy. It was a crazy game of Risk. Super fun. I love Risk.
It's a fun game.
I just imagine like Zach playing StarCraft, like.
Oh, it's stressful.
like that battle.
Oh, I bet. Have you guys ever played like Risk Legacy at all? Does that do anything for you? Or is Risk Legacy the kind of the one-time play?
What do you mean the one-time play? Is that the one that's like multiple battles and it kind of continues almost like a tabletop RPG?
Kind of, yeah. It carries through. Events that happen in one game carry into the next game. So
I've never played it, but it sounds really interesting.
Oh, it sounds awesome.
If you had a group to play with on a regular basis,
that's kind of the problem. And I'm running into that with I have a game called Seafall that I mentioned before. It's a pirate game, and like we're just trying to. It's amazing. Like, it's so cool right now. I think we've played 4 games of it, but like I got it for Christmas and we've played 4 games. Like, it's just really hard to get us 4 guys together again to sit down and do it. But man, like, I just absolutely love it. It's an amazing like experience, and opening things to expand the game, or tearing up cards once you fulfill that quest or whatever, and you're just like literally just shred the card. Like, that's just, and
what happens when you run out of cards?
Well, the game's over. That's the thing. So it's like one-time events. So it's like, oh, if you find, like, I have this treasure map, but I can't use it right now until enough people build colonies in these islands. And then once there's enough colonies, then I can use the map and try and find this treasure. And once I find the treasure, then I tear up the map, because the treasure is gone. But I have this new box now, and I open the box, and it contains a plethora of game items in it. So like, it'll either, it'll expand some of the rule set, maybe base building gets enhanced, or their sailing mechanics change, or you introduce something else. I don't even know. Maybe it's filled with treasure. No idea. There's these sealed boxes. I don't know what's in them. But I have a map for them, and I'm a little nervous because my buddies are like eyeballing me like they're going to destroy my ships and take my map, because that's open treasure. I carry that around on my boat.
But what happens if you want to play the game again?
You got, well, no, it won't work. You mean you can buy it again, but you already understand the secrets that are hidden within.
So you're not supposed to play it again.
It's a one-time thing. It's a one-time game, and you get about 24 games out of it. So I mean, it's long. It takes a long time.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
But yeah, in theory, I could do it again, in theory, but like knowing the end game stuff, having complete, if I complete this current campaign,
I see how it works.
Yeah. Because then I would know how to set things up, or like, because there was one instance in the very first game that was like, are you kidding me? Like, it totally caught me by surprise, and like, it was an awesome surprise, and to not have that sensation again, or to like kind of know going, you know, with maybe a new group of people. It would just really taint the experience. But like in Risk Legacy, you know, there are things like where you drop like a nuclear bomb on a city, and that territory is now radiated and no one can travel through it. Or, you know, like you can create a new sea route. Like, well, I'm just going to connect Madagascar to China, and then now that's a thing. And so, like, you have this brand new path that is you have your own capital building, your capital. Like, I'm setting up in Peru, and damn it, that's my home. So there's all these kind of just new mechanics that get added onto a game of Risk each time.
I just looked up Risk Legacy, and that is the game that I was thinking of, because I remember seeing something that sounded exactly like that at Board Game Store.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked really cool, but I was just like, I'm never going to have a group to like see this through, so obviously I didn't get it.
Yeah, you can make some friends.
It sounded awesome.
You're gonna make some friends.
Zach,
do you so you live back in Randy's hometown? Is there still a relatively large contingent of your old high school buddies or whatever still there, or are you just kind of the relic that's able to find success in some capacity?
Oh, I don't know anybody here. I grew up like an hour north of here, so my grad class had like 20 kids. So I don't know anybody.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we actually used to work together. We didn't
go to school or anything?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So like when
he does hang out with all my old high school friends when I come to town, because we all get together and play games and stuff.
Sure. Well, I mean, that just makes sense. I mean, I got a couple of buddies like that who like are just now quote unquote high school friends by proxy, you know, through either a college roommate or something who just, you just hang out with us all the time anyway now. Actually, I got a wedding of his coming up. Oh my, they're finally getting married. You think maybe in your mid-30s. That's, I don't know, you guys. Randy, you got married early. Zach, do you have a Mrs. Zach? Is there
No.
No? Not.
No.
We don't need to delve too deep into that. I don't know. That could be a sensitive subject, but...
Oh, no. I just had a girlfriend for a long time and no longer do. For the better.
Well, it's more time for gaming. So we have a segment on here that's called our Win of the Week, and we kind of talk about some of the games we've been playing. So is there anything in like the past week or two that like you're particularly proud of? You know, it doesn't have to be an achievement, like an in-game achievement per se, but maybe you had like a great run, a nice match, a kill streak, I don't know, a play of the game. I know Overwatch has those. Anything that stands out as to a particularly memorable experience that you've had over the last week or two?
Memorable experience. Actually, all I've been playing in the last like week or two is I actually got an HTC Vive, so I've been playing VR games this whole week.
Oh, cool.
So that goes along with my trying to find like the next gen game. I just got so sick of other things that I was like, we're getting a Vive. I have to.
So what have you been playing?
Lots of the games on the Vive are demo-y right now, which is kind of disappointing. So I've just been playing lots of the demo games. The Lab by Valve is really good.
Yep.
The Pirate Training game's really good.
Okay.
Raw Data is good. The VR games are really fun, but they're not full
they're just
games, which
games,
is kind of disappointing. It's like playing a lot of demos, but you're paying $40 a demo, and it's like, well,
that's pretty steep.
This isn't sustainable.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I mean, I've never played VR, but that's kind of always been my interpretation of it. Is it's like the early years of the Wii, and it's like there's not enough install base of VRs. Because it's so expensive, and you need such an expensive rig to run anything.
Yeah, and the market right now is so small that people aren't making for it. They're like, I'm not going to make any money off this, and if they do make something, they charge you $40 for what's like an hour of playtime.
Yeah, well, and I mean, look at it. You can make a AAA game that has a market of like hundreds of millions. I don't know, maybe that's too much, but I'm talking like Xbox One, PS4, PC. There's a lot of people, or you could put that same amount of resources into making like a full VR game that has like 1% or less of that market.
Yeah, but if you come up with, I mean, you don't have to spend that much money to make a great game. You just have to have awesome gameplay, and I mean, if take Rocket League, for example, right? I mean, I know a lot of development went into that, but that's a relatively small, simple game that, yeah, I mean, if you found a way to do a small game like that in VR that just had this awesome loop to it that you could connect with others, you know, there's a nice level of, I guess, you know, semi-respect between the companies that they're trying to play nice together. I know they don't really want to, but like they almost have to out of necessity.
Yeah.
And so like now, I mean, you're starting to see some of these games that are like, hey, you know, like Star Trek Bridge Crew, like, hey, we need some online stuff. Anybody maybe around, you know, or like Rec Room, or, you know, just kind of like dipping your toe into it. You know, but you're right. I mean, we're still not there with a title that's like, oh my God, yes, this is the quintessential VR experience. You know, maybe we can do that. Maybe even like just with existing games, but having like a free camera mode or something could be enough to just get people like, hey, you know, you really want to watch, you know, Dota, the International, like VR Dota. That's the way to do it. We put you, put you into that, and it's like, you know, can that maybe get enough people excited about purchasing these units? I don't know. I mean,
that is a thing?
Yeah, you can do Dota as VR. It's on the list. I haven't done it personally, but you can. They're also later this year coming out with they're doing exactly what you said. They're making older games and they're just revitalizing the Vive. Like I think in October, Fallout 4 comes out for the Vive.
Yeah, they're doing Doom as well. They're claiming Doom as a new game, but like you have to like tell you know the like look and kind of like throw to move.
Well, there's two movement options in that. So
okay. I didn't see any of the other one.
You're not the Space Marine. You're a different guy.
You're not Doom guy?
No. They're considering it a different game.
Yeah, they're calling it Doom VTR or something. It's supposed to be different. VFR, yeah.
Just like the BFG. And that means big friendly giant. The virtual friendly reality, I think. No, yeah. So there's the teleport mechanic, right, where you can warp in, and that's kind of your glory kill. Is one of them.
I mean that seems like a very not Doom mechanic to me.
No, but, I mean not necessarily, but you could do it like a grappling hook or a Spider-Man. I can if in the context of like that's why they're doing a different character. In the context, if you set it up right, like that could be like imagine like if you were doing a Mortal Kombat VR experience and you were Scorpion, right? And your movement mechanic was to shoot your spear at people and suck yourself up to them so you could punch them. Like that totally feel like, oh yeah, cool. Like I'm Scorpion.
Just thinking Doom specifically, like it just doesn't. Not that movement mechanic.
Yeah, but I think there's also some level of the tilt and the other movement as well. But you can't go far or fast.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Vive is the space you're in, you can technically move around in it. Like I can walk around my living room and do that as movement, but you can only get like 5 feet.
Right.
And Doom is all about the fast movement.
Yeah, typically.
Which is.
But I mean, if you can string some combos together, maybe that just feels fast. If you're, I mean, because do you remember playing the Wii for the first time? And you had the Wiimote, and you were like, let's do the bowling or the fencing, and I specifically remember Skyward Sword with Zelda, and you would like, you'd be like, oh yeah, look, I'm swinging my sword, whoosh, and you do these giant arm movements and swing your arm all over the place, and then you're like, oh, that was cool, but you know what? I can just like flick my wrist here, just doot 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 doot, and then that's it. You're just done. But, if you had big sweeping movements, or you could come up with I was playing on the Kinect, Disney Fantasia, where you're the conductor of the orchestra, and you do sweeping movements with your arm, and you really get into it. And, if you could tie that to a really cool game mechanic, then that has the sensation of fast pace and action. I mean, you're already in a weird spot in your brain that then by moving your arms and having it frenetically move on screen and not make you puke, like if all those things come together, you could have a really cool experience. It's just nobody's done that yet. Everybody's just done, hey, or sit at this desk and just mess around with things on it.
Yeah, it's neat to see the different kind of things that people are implementing because VR is still so new. So when you play lots of these demo games, they'll all kind of have a different mechanism for how they want you to move. Lots of people go to teleport. That's the easiest one it seems to pull off.
Yeah.
And
I think it doesn't freak people out as much.
Yeah, it's easy. When you're teleporting, like you can get into it and just be teleporting all over the place, and it's really easy to do. Others have you pull down the trigger to just move forward, and you'll just spin in circles the direction you want to go. So essentially, like the trigger will be the go mechanic, and you turning in circles will be your direction.
That sounds very nauseating.
Which can be nauseating. And the other one is just like 2 joysticks moving around, which is even worse. Like in Zero Gravity, there was one game where I just had to stop playing. You couldn't do it. It was too hard.
I know. I've played not VR games that are like that with, trying to navigate in, where you're not kind of like bound to a look up, look down. You look all the way in a circle in both directions, then you're just lost constantly.
Yeah. It's like watching my kids play Minecraft when they were younger. It's just like, where are you looking? Stop! You have the independent movement, try to figure out the 2 sticks. Someone was telling. I remember hearing a story about like a horror show where people were just still trying to figure out VR and stuff, and so there's all the rule, like they kind of have the rough rules of like what not to do, and so someone was like, "Oh, screw that! I'm just gonna do whatever," and he had it so like your head can control the view, but you can also control it with the thumbstick, and like they're like, do not do that. Like if you move your head and then move the thumbstick and your vision moves but your head doesn't, that is puke city. And he's like, no, I don't believe you. And like sure enough, like people were just retching all over the place because it was just a disaster. And so it's still training wheels time. But we're getting there. I have a friend at the gym who like he's got a Vive, and I'm trying to find some time to like get over to his house and just kind of mess around with it a little bit because it sounds so much fun, and it's everyone's saying it's it's gonna be like 3D TV or just curved screens or all that crap, and it's like no, everyone who's said it is like it's not a gimmick. It is actually a fundamentally different way to experience video games that has traction. We just aren't there yet. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree. My win of the week, if I had to pick a thing, that would be the win of the... That's what it's called, win of the week, correct?
Yeah, win of the week.
Would just be the level of immersion that VR gives you. You put the headset on, and regardless of how silly the task here is you're doing, there's one game called The Plank where you just literally get in an elevator, ride up to the top floor, and walk out on a plank. But the level of... Because it perfectly simulates 2 eyes, the Vive has 2 different independent screens, one for each eye, and the tracking with the outside cameras is just so phenomenal. You just get such a level of immersion into this little cartoon game where you're walking out on a plank on the 50th story of a building, and you jump off, like your stomach rises, and
I bet.
It's unheard of. It's the level of immersion that you can get from just simple little things like that. It's fascinating to see where we'll be in like 10 years if VR is the route people decide to go, because the immersion is just like I've played games where I've got so into the game where like 6 hours have passed and you haven't eaten and you stop playing and you're like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom, I need to eat, I haven't done any of these things, I've just been playing this game, I've been so into it.
Yeah. And
like I've been playing the Vive where it's like I've just completely lost track of everything and ran straight into a wall because I'm like, I just don't know what's going on. And it's fantastic.
That Plank game, have you ever considered like making a Plank proxy to get like even that sensation on your feet of like the edge of the board at all?
Just like put an actual plank,
if you actually put a plank down, so that like you actually feel it on your toes, like curling over the side. I wonder what that kind of sensation would be.
I haven't done that, but I've done.
Do you play in shoes and bare feet? How do you?
I play in bare feet. I'm in my living room, so
yeah. Okay. So is it like a studio? Like, do you have a nice setup for it, or do you have to like how Randy? So when Randy has to record, or he used to, he had to go to the recording studio, which meant fold up the height of bed or something, or what?
Yeah, I had to usually get the mic stand out, set up the mic stand, get the mic out, take stuff off the table, put the computer on the table. Well, it used to be before I got my new laptop.
Right.
I'd have to shut the computer down and then move, my mouse, my mouse pad, my laptop, the Ethernet. I had to run the Ethernet cable across the house. I had to bring the charger in, start the computer back up because it didn't have a battery. Now it's easy because I have a dock, so all my stuff is just connected.
There you go. But yeah, so Zach, what's your setup like? Is it pretty much always set up, or do you have a minimalistic house?
No, I live in a basement suite, 2 bedrooms in the living room, and the dining room's kind of connected to the living room. They're kind of like a one room open concept kind of thing. So the living room, I don't really have furniture. I'm in my 20s, so screw furniture. My living room was kind of just, I built a weightlifting set in there, so I built a platform and everything to do deadlifts and stuff on, so I could, when I missed the gym, I could work out at home.
Sure.
So my living room is probably like 10 feet by 20 feet, and it just had nothing really in it.
Yeah.
So I just set the Vive up in there, so it's the Vive room, because that's exercise, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So yeah, you just screw the cameras physically into the wall, and they just sit up there. So they're constantly sitting up there. The room's always empty, and it just has a Vive sitting in the middle of it. And it looks silly, but then you put the headset on, and you're like, you can actually be transported to like other places in a way that's just no other game. Like, I've played 3D games and all this, and it just does it in a way that like is so much more immersive, so much like it's unreal.
Yeah,
so
that's
does
cool.
the Vive have a cord, or?
Yeah, the Vive has a cord, which is a royal pain in the butt.
Yeah, they all have cords right now.
But they're already talking about, like, there's already attachments you can buy, third-party stuff, where you can just hook the cord into, like, a battery pack on your head that transmits to your computer, but that only lasts, like, an hour, which I guess if you're just casually having a little game session, hour's enough, but...
Yeah,
I'm picturing bumper car type track on the ceiling, and you just have a running cable above you.
I honestly thought about putting a hook in my ceiling and putting the cord there so it'd be above me. I haven't got to that yet, though.
Yeah.
There was a really interesting... I think I mentioned it. I mean, this is over a year ago now, but when I was at GDC, they had a really interesting VR setup that was... You had these special shoes that were like... slippery shoes, and you kind of had this dome that you would stand in.
Oh yeah, like the Atmosphere from
and
Gladiators.
Then you would have something that would go around kind of your waist that would mostly hold you in place, to kind of give you the idea. So they were demoing an FPS game that these two people, like they had two people there, like, and they had like the PS3 gun thing. So like they had a gun in their hands with a tracker on it, and they were playing this game. And, like, these guys are, like, sprinting in place, playing, like,
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy.
I remember seeing that.
It's super cool, and, I mean, not something that's realistic at this point, but I would kind of hope we'd get to that point eventually, because, like, and they had it down. I mean, the pricing was I think it was, like, $2,000 for, like, the basic set for one.
Well, and it's, like 12 feet tall. I mean, it's
no, it's not actually.
I thought the sphere thing was like huge. It was like 8 feet tall or something. I mean, it's not fit a human being in there.
Yeah, but it doesn't completely cover you, so it just sits on the floor, and then you have like
gotcha.
Kind of like a small like half sphere cut out that you stand in, and then the ring that kind of holds you in place is only like 4 feet tall or something, like half a person, a little more than half a person. And then as long as you're wearing the slippery shoes, you presumably don't run out of it.
Slick shoes.
But maybe one day.
Yeah, we'll get
next
there.
time I'm in Canada, I'm going to come by and try your Vive.
I was going to say, I was going to ask you if you had or not. So no?
Did you get it after I left?
I just got it, yeah.
Yeah, that's
brand
for about a
freaking
week
new
now. Yeah, it's brand new.
Yeah.
That's all I've been playing this week because
that's cool.
It's unreal.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's awesome. Randy, I mean, you've been traveling all week. Did you do anything of value? You played any games? I mentioned. Did you listen to the show last week?
I did.
Okay.
I don't remember. I was like half listening to it while I was doing chores and stuff.
Well, were you happy with my giving you the win of the week?
I was. I might take that because I basically haven't played anything this week. I think I played Killer Instinct for like 20 minutes, and I played Halo Spartan Assault for like 2 hours, and that's like my entire gaming for this week. So we'll do my recap right now. That's all I played. But yeah, so my win of the week, I guess, is taking the #1 spot on Windows Phone. I've since lost that because I synced up a game that wasn't complete to my tag because I wanted to get my... Now, Halo Spartan Assault is amazing with its progress syncing. It works perfectly.
Oh, yeah?
So, I had been working on it on Xbox One with Prue. We did all the co-op stuff. Then when I was away, my Killer Instinct save didn't sync, and that's what I had planned on playing as kind of, when I had some time to just kind of hang out and game. That's what I was going to play on my computer because I didn't bring my Xbox with me. So I couldn't play that, and I was like, oh, well, Halo Spartan Assault syncs. I might as well start playing it on Windows 8. So I started playing it on Windows 8, played through most of the missions, got most of the gold stars. And then when I was on the plane ride home, I was like, do I really want to do it on Windows Phone? And I was like, yeah, everything syncs. I just have to redo a few things. Yeah, I might as well do it on Windows Phone too. So then on the plane ride, I was making progress on Windows Phone. And then when I got back and I had a normal connection and everything, you just connect them all to live, and all the progress, because, even though it's split, like the save isn't totally up to date, it just checks, okay, well, you did this, you made this much progress on these challenges on this version, and it just updates.
That's cool.
So once you connect them all, then everything just adds up. It just adds up what you've done and adds it to all the challenges. So it was really cool in that way. But yeah, so to clarify, other than working on Halo Spartan Assault, my Windows Phone achievements were the completion percentage in New York. I was number 1. I will be back once I finish Halo.
Okay.
And I not completed games, and I was 15th overall for completion percentage on Windows Phone.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
But to take the number 1 spot overall, I think I need to double the number of achievements that I have on Windows Phone, which is quite a few. I think I've got like 1,200 achievements on Windows Phone or something.
Wow.
And the top one is over 2,000 with 100% completion. So that's a big one. I don't think I'll take that ever, but we'll see.
That's nuts.
I'll keep New York held down, I think.
There you go. Good for you. I had a relatively productive week. I was just doing a lot of cleaning up. It's the end of the month, of course, and so just wrapping all these things up for the week here. Gamertag, Enigmatis 2, Eventide. I finished the bonus chapter in that. Level 22, Q-Bot, right? Just some real easy pickings there. As far as like real gaming, Diablo 3. So I had mentioned last show, getting down in the home stretch. Well, I pounded out 4 more achievements. I have 2 left. Kill Diablo on Inferno and 5 million gold. Of course, I'm at 2 million gold. And so I'm pretty sure Kush and Matim's already leaving us for that Halo stuff. And Saucy, they'll probably all finish before me, and I'll come to that dangerous spot of, okay, is this actually worth my time now to get that 5 million? So I'm nervous.
Achievement.
I know.
It's the last achievement. You gotta get it.
That carries a little more weight, but I'm nervous. I did, so then in Zombie Army Trilogy, we finished Act 2, 5 more achievements there, so cruising through that one. We've got 1 act left, coming up for Zombie Month in August, so that'll be fun. Get some achievements in that one. Minecraft. Okay, so my kids have been super into Minecraft recently, and I mentioned on previous shows about them in creative mode, and so they've now are like starting to understand more of the game mechanics and are really excited about battle mode with like their friends and things coming over. And so they were like, "Hey, Dad, why don't you play some battle mode with us?" And I'm like, you know what? I haven't done any of that. There's some achievements to be had here. And so I was like, all right, listen, guys, we'll play some battle mode, like 3 rounds, and then we're doing achievements, and then you guys can play more after that. And so, I mean, trying to wrangle these 2 kids to like, just, no, don't move. Literally, just don't move. I need to shoot you with an arrow. Don't move. Stop it. Stop moving. Why did you punch me? And, it's like constantly fighting with these kids. My kids. And I got them. Got the achievements I wanted. But, so they were playing just this evening, and I was getting stuff ready for the show. I was messing around on my computer, and so I wasn't really paying attention to what they're saying. And so they were goofing around on survival, and they were getting just destroyed by critters, and they kept dying and respawning and running over, and so a wither came out and was just harassing, and I had never seen a wither. Like, I don't play, and so with the new title updates and stuff, they continuously add to that game, and so this wither was something new, and it's slowing me down with its arrows and all this stuff, and So then my son and daughter kept saying stuff like, and then like the Gryfire, like, you know, I mean, it's so annoying, you know, the Gryfire. And I'm just like, again, half paying attention. My son comes over and he's like, Dad, do you know what a Gryfire is? I'm like, are you saying Gryfire? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, well, like, you know, like a Gryfire is like when, you know, like when you go online and like people just come in and they just wreck your stuff. I'm like, do you mean a griefer? He's like, oh, yeah, I guess it is spelled griefer. I'm going to call them Gryfires. So my son is now introduced to what a griefer is. Yeah, he constantly is calling them Gryfires. I didn't realize there were skins called like Desert Griefer and Forest Griefer, and they've got these big goofy ass smiles, and they look like a griefer. So he was convinced he was right. So Minecraft achievements, fun with that. At least I can get the kids involved, you know, and do some other things. But I think my win of the week, and then I've got two other things after my win of the week. But my win of the week is Spectra. All right, this is that easy rhythm track game. You know, you got a little cart and some EDM music plays in the background, and then you just kind of cruise through picking up stuff. Well, I looked at that achievement list and I said, you know what? This is that game that has that super convenient glitch where you don't actually have to play the game, right? You can simply drive your car off the edge of the board, hit pause before you quote unquote crash, and then quit the main menu. And when you come back and hit continue, your car is still floating in the middle of space. And when you hit resume, you just continually plummet and rack up percentages until you get to 100%. It is amazing. And my kids are like, what are you even doing? It's like, it's beautiful. I don't have to do anything. And just achievements start coming in. It's just a fantastic. But the reason it's my win of the week, right? It shouldn't really be. It's an easy game. I'm getting easy Gamerscore. The reason it's the win of the week is that the achievements, actually, there is an S, a P, an E, a C, a T, R, and an A, which for the MOCAS is going to give me 49 entries into the MOCAS for really doing essentially no work. I don't think I've seen, and the reason I've saved it to the end of the month is because nobody else has seen it, to my knowledge, and so I'm going to have all of the entries. I am so excited. Although there's some pretty good tallies in the forums that I've seen already, but that's my win of the week, is finding that little gem that's nice and easy and getting me a boatload of entries into the MOCAS for the month of July. The other two things I want to mention is we're getting toward the depths of summer here. And of course, that leads into the exciting world of fall releases. And so what precedes fall releases? Well, it's beta season. And so, of course, the
CryEngine season.
I have so much free time on my hands that it's like I might as well play games that have no achievements and will not give me any progress toward the main game when I actually get there. I know, it's dumb, right? But I played 2 betas this week. One I did not give a lot of time to, and I'm going to tie that in right now with Zombie News Corner, is Dead Alliance. That was the game I had mentioned. It used to be called Moving Hazard. It now switched to Dead Alliance. Comes out at the end of August. This is the first-person shooter that you can use zombies as weapons. And so, again, beta. So preface that by saying that things can change and probably should change.
Demo,
but
you mean?
It's pretty janky. I mean, it's like I'm really curious about what can happen in 2 months to get this to be nice and smooth, because that's kind of the thing right now, is it's not smooth. The combat reminds me a lot of like the old Rainbow Six games, where it's and it's first person, not third person, but that kind of like slow aim down sight and kind of like really robotic movement. Like it doesn't move smoothly, and it's frustrating, especially when you have like a light armored class. The two weapons that are in the beta are a crossbow, which is totally silent and is a one-shot kill, and then there's a rifle, like a sniper rifle. And I'm trying to ADS with those, and like it is like I cannot get a bead on anyone because it's like trying to move the reticule just a little bit. It starts to drag and then jump, and then it's not smooth. And so I'm hoping that gets kind of smoothed out just enough to make it playable. As far as like the actual gameplay, so I just played essentially it was a King of the Hill game mode, right? Like if you're not familiar with the King of the Hill game mode, there's a token you have to run to and stand in a circle for a period of time to collect points, and then after that time period goes, it moves to another location on the map, and you chase it around the thing while contesting that singular point as it moves. And so that was the only game mode I played. I played it. Well, actually, no. I played that and then a control where there's 3 points, right? Two side points and 1 center point. And you kind of play that. The gameplay is kind of fun. So there's zombies everywhere. Actually, like they're all over the place. And graphically, it's not. Don't go for the graphics. It looks kind of gross. But it's interesting in the sense that like. In traditional shooters, you especially Twitch-based shooters, you're reacting to movement, and so you're constantly like pulling up your gun, aiming down sight, or trying to like react to something. But because there's zombies everywhere, like it is really challenging to find humans, because these zombies are moving as erratically as humans, and the only thing that kind of sets them apart is that like they're carrying a gun, and with how kind of dirty the graphics are, like that's not an easy thing to see. Maybe it's better on a high-res monitor or you're a little bit further away, but it's challenging. It's a cool level of challenge, but it's also kind of frustrating at times when you're like, why am I getting shot? Who's shooting me? What the hell's going on here? The unique mechanic is you have items that you can actually, like grenades, that you can actually throw at the zombies and convert them into weapons. And so, like, they'll get this, if it's your zombie, they'll get this green mist about them, and they'll just start chasing after the closest enemy. Of course, red zombies, they've got this red cloud around them, are chasing you. They're the enemies coming after you. And so that's kind of cool, but, like, it's remarkable how quickly you forget, like, the zombies are even around, and you're dying all the time. I'm pretty terrible at it. Did not go well. So that was Dead Alliance and Zombie News Corner for this week. The other beta I played, well, I think we can all guess. It was Destiny 2. I could not pass that up. So let me just start by saying that graphically, it is outstanding. Comparative to what it was on the previous game, Destiny 1, it is remarkable. And if you want to see it in action, I know IGN did, and I'm sure tons of other outlets are doing it, where they do a side-by-side comparison of locations in Destiny 1 and locations in Destiny 2. Now, granted, there's some change because the location is being, is under attack, and so, like, things are destroyed and stuff, but just like the particle effects, the amount of detail that's in each location, the dynamic lighting, like it is gorgeous. And so that is fantastic. Like I'm so glad that's key here. I felt like the gameplay was slower, and I'm not sure if I'm just like I just haven't played Destiny in a long time, and so I'm not really sure if I'm remembering it well enough. But like the gunplay always felt snappier for me, and I was using a hand cannon, which is like my weapon of choice, and I just felt like it was not quite as reactive. And I know they were trying to slow down the Crucible matches a little bit more, make them. That's the PvP mode. Make it a little bit more deliberate, more tactical. And so I don't know if that's a relic of that, where because they slowed down your movement, that's coming into the PvE elements of the game. Or it might just be that I'm not used to the character and the loadouts, and I couldn't spec for a mobility loadout like I usually do. I play a hunter. I like being able to jump around a lot, move around a lot. And so maybe that was the issue. I don't know. I'm not going to pass judgment on it just yet. It was still super fun, and the mechanics were great. I really liked in some of the intro, certainly the intro missions. They didn't. They had said they're not going to take you out to space anymore, so you can come back down. Like, that's just dumb. And so, like, the missions just kind of fed right into each other, just kind of stacked one on top of the other. I really liked that, right? It created a nice cohesive storyline that you could follow. You understood, there was a demarcation, like, hey, this is the end of this part of the mission, and then there's a brief cutscene, and you're into the next mission. And so you're progressing through the story that way, which it was so welcome, and it was a really nice change from that mission's done. Okay, go find the next one, and then we'll just pick up where you left off. This kind of maintains that cohesive narrative, which was great. But the other thing then is, then there was a in those missions, like, they had implemented some like minor, interesting game mechanic pieces between the mission, and then there was a strike mission you could play as a separate entity, and both of those had some really cool, very, very simple, nothing like raid mechanics that you're traditionally used to, but the boss mechanic of the strike had some unique elements to it, just a couple of phases that were fun and it presented a new challenge, and even just some like platforming things, or trying to destroy specific locations and having to move around a set piece in a unique way. Those were really cool and welcome, and I think they're just adding a nice depth to the gameplay that I'm really looking forward to. It goes without saying I was going to buy this game anyway, and so again, I'm coming at it from a relatively rose-colored point of view. Immediately when I mentioned it, I heard a cacophony of scoffs from you two. What is you care to explain yourself?
I don't care. I never played Destiny, but it sounds like Zach has something to say about Destiny.
Let's hear it.
Well, I have two bones to pick with Destiny. Two main points.
With Destiny 2 or Destiny
I won't buy the new
well?
Destiny.
As a whole?
Destiny and Destiny, The Division, and Destiny 2 all kind of fall in like a same category for me, where they were like, first of all, Destiny and The Division, I feel like they were sold as games where it's like, hey, we're bringing MMO kind of stuff to consoles, like we're bringing RPG style games that are going to have a long lifeline. Yeah. They kind of sold it as that, where it's like, this is a game we're going to add on to. This is a game you're going to have endless things to do. You're going to do this. It's like, I hate to say World of Warcraft, but that's just the thing everybody goes to, where there's going to be these raids. Right. You use the word raid, where you're going to play with your friends. There's going to be this whole world, and you'll be able to like explore all these places and do all these things. And I feel like it and The Division were kind of sold as those kind of games that were going to give you all this content and all this stuff, and they'd be added onto. And then what did we get from Destiny? We got 2 expansions, I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, you got
that you had to pay for
2.
I mean, you got more than 2, but yeah, you
2
had,
that you had to pay for.
There were some.
And then it's like, and now they're coming out with a Destiny 2, and it's like, is the lifeline of Destiny 2 going to be a little bit shorter this time? Is there going to be like 2 expansions? They're going to be like, oh, well, now we're going to push Destiny 3 because their sales will be good, and then it turns into this Call of Duty phenomenon where every 2 or 3 years we get a successful Destiny game that's kind of runs 3/4 off the original game. It just felt like they were pushing a game that that they were selling as a long-term thing, like The Division. When they said it, they're like, it's New York, you have this map. They set out the map, they told you. They even showed you an area that wasn't in the game as the demo, or the lie engine that they sold you on those. And it was never in the game. It was never there. And then you kind of had this hope where it's like, well, the area they showed you versus the area they gave you are so far apart. It's like, well, are they just going to bridge those through expansions? And then it feels like these games kind of just, they're like, well, we sold a bunch at the beginning. We're just going to kill it now. Like, support's gone. The same thing happened with Titanfall, where they released the game, and it's like, this is a cool premise, we like it, we're going to continue support, and this support never seems to follow these games that are sold as having long lifelines. Like, I'm going to play Destiny for maybe 5 years, and then they're like, well, after 2 years, they kind of quit. They're like, nah, we'll start, like, when did they start making Destiny 2? They had to have been making it for like a year at least now, And Destiny came out in 2014? So that means by 2016, 2 years after they already sold 2 expansions, they're like, things have slowed down. We'll just sell them a new game. Why not?
They slowed down. I think they were just, all the consoles were moving in a different direction, and they were stuck with an engine that they built for the 360 because it had to run the old systems, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, like this game is just, we're pushing it to its limits, and we can do so much more on the PS4 Pro, because I'm sure they had dev kits by that point, and the Xbox One X, that it's like, God, we have so much more to do here. We gotta cut the old stuff out of here so we can at least build something now that we understand the One and the PlayStation 4's infrastructure and how they're iterating on that with the Pro and the Xbox One X, and how they're mimicking PC because we want to get to PC. And so now we have these 5 ecosystems that we're making this game for. Let's rebuild this, baseline engine so that we can iterate on it more simply. We can add content faster, more efficiently. I think when they started this, because it was 7 years in development, or when did they announce it for the first time? That they were the
original Destiny?
when they first started doing concepting and building the the structure. The Xbox One and PS4 didn't even exist at the time. And so then they're like, oh, hey, we got this new stuff. How can we make it work here? It's like, well, let's just port it over and figure it out. Well, that quickly became apparent that it just wasn't going to function. And so, they had to start switching the messaging and saying, oh, yeah, okay, 10-year plan. Okay, well, no. We can't do a 10-year plan because they dramatically changed the infrastructure of all the new systems to move toward a PC, baseline. And now it's like, okay, well, we've done our 3 years, so we got 7 years left. And so this is going to go for 7 years. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they will absolutely do hard resets and, have a Destiny 3, because I think they're going to see the numbers, the pre-sale numbers of this, they're going to be significant. As much as people poo-poo the idea of, so many people left the game and all this crap,
of course it is.
Activision is not going to let this thing, not have a gigantic splash. They're going to market the hell out of it. You will see so much. Thursday Night Football, when it opens on whatever that September the 1st, 7th, whatever that first Thursday is, there will be such a amazing Destiny trailer, because the game comes out at the end of September, and it's the first big hitter, but maybe it's not even the end of September. Anyway, the first big hitter, the first AAA game that's, they're planting its flag in the ground. Because you can say, well, Force is in October this year. So they're going to want to take it by storm and say, hey, remember Destiny? Well, here's what it looks like now. Booyah, casual fan. And they're gonna you can go ahead and say Lie Engine, because I'm sure that's what's going to happen. I mean, those trailers are going to look beautiful. But I think they learned so much, and we talked, I mentioned this to Prue. They've learned so much about how to make, because, well, not even that, because you had said, that they wanted to position as an MMO, and they had in the Division the same way. They wanted to use MMO things, but MMOs are boring if you're not really into that world. They don't appeal to a casual person. I've never met a casual MMOer, because it's such a time commitment. And so a lot of what makes MMOs amazing is the depth that you can go, because you spend so much time in there. You want all these nuances. John Q. Call of Duty doesn't give a crap about all this. They just want amazing gameplay immediately, and they want to just start, teabagging noobs all day. That's what they want. And so,
on their new game.
Maybe
that's
Destiny
true.
isn't for those. Shouldn't be for those people.
Yeah, but that's where the money is.
Oh, I know.
Because
that's what I'm saying.
That's where the money
you can't make Destiny. They shouldn't present Destiny like they did. Is really the issue.
It killed me.
You can't present it like it's this MMO thing. Then you're advertising to the wrong audience. Advertise it as an action game. Don't advertise it as an MMO with this rich experience, because, like you said, the money is not there.
Yeah,
the money is in
I think they've really tried to separate from that term, and they're doing this shared world shooter and stuff like they're.
This time it's being advertised differently. Like, this Destiny seems different than the other Destiny. The other Destiny was sold as an MMO. This Destiny seems like it's not at all like Call of Duty, but it's being advertised more like a Call of Duty thing. It's going to be your fun, fast-paced shooter.
Yeah,
arcade
and I think
almost.
I think they're trying to bridge the gap. And I have not played much of Halo 5 multiplayer, but from what I remember playing of like the other Halos, 2, 3, those multiplayer. Like, it's trying to bridge the gap between Call of Duty and Halo, where, like, that speed, they kind of want to be in the middle there, where it's, like, it's fast, but not, like, twitchy fast, where it's, like, annoying, seizure-inducing, but not so slow and tactical like old Halo was, that they're kind of trying to, with the heavy shields and all that kind of stuff, they're trying to be in the middle.
I forgot to mention... in my recap, there was something I did want to mention on the podcast that I played. I mean, this is relevant here too. Is how a few weeks ago we were kind of reminiscing about Halo 2 and how much fun Halo 2 was. Well, when I went back to the old country, we played 7-player System Link Halo 2, and it was amazing.
Nice. Is that two screens?
2 screens, and man, that game is so good. Like, you go back to that game, and it's like, what happened? What happened between then and now? Like, it was so much fun. I mean, of course, it's missing a few things that, we take for granted.
The niceties, yeah.
But, like that core gameplay, so much more than makes up for that.
Yeah.
And it was just such a blast. It was so much fun. Halo 2 is great. Halo 2 is the best Halo. Halo 2 is the best Halo ever. But I don't know. Is Halo 5 like the same pace as the older Halos? Because it's faster. It's so different. Like, even Halo 4 was a lot faster.
Yeah, it's much faster. A lot of the movement changed, but I don't know about the time to kill. Like that, I wasn't paying attention to that, so I don't know if they increased the time to kill. I think they did. All I know is movement is way, way faster. But I don't know, like, amount of shield, what the damage output is, stuff like that. Yeah. So I can't educatedly speak to that. Yeah, I can't even talk right now. So there you go. Should we move into news? Do we have other things that we're like literally just in gaming recap? Well, I guess we had our interview-ish.
That's okay.
We'll circle back here, but I have a couple of things that I want to mention here from the news standpoint. There's a big milestone, a community milestone, and maybe we can rope this back into a discussion with Zach about achievement hunting. But V Sully, he recently had a blog post. I don't know if anyone saw this. I know they put a link to a story in TrueAchievements.com, but he went for as much Gamerscore as he could do in 24 hours. That final count, it was on July 13th, I believe. That final count was 40,000 Gamerscore, right on the nose. He,
Now, did he have preloaded Gamerscore?
Yes. So, this is his existing tag, and so he, like no Q-Bot, right? He had already played that. No Avatar. A lot of things he had were off the table. But he was looking at some of the things that he could do, and so yes, he did some preloading. I think he had said like Brave. He had done some preloading in Brave to get to the final boss, and he had done some preloading on 3/4 Home. You listen to the soundtrack thing where you got to take an hour to do that. He went up to like 52 minutes of 50 minutes of the 52-minute soundtrack, and so then that was what he started his thing with. And it's all spelled out in the blog. It's actually really cool how he, what he went through and how he, and like, it wasn't even terribly efficient. I mean, he picked out some really good titles and stuff to work on, but even toward the end, he was like so just frazzled that he was just like, I just need more Gamerscore now. God help me. And his buddy was trying to help him out get through this, but it's interesting. It's cool. And he leaves it at the end saying, like, okay, look, here's the things that I did, and you can talk about whether this is right. He used Fallout 3 PC codes and said that he called it a feature of the game. right? He used that feature to get his points.
I mean, it was left in the game. There's nothing. There's no circumvention required. You just hit a key on your keyboard and start typing. I mean,
right.
It's,
and there's
accepted as how you complete that game, basically.
Ton of ACA Neo Geos in here. There's a bunch. I mean, so there's tons and tons of easy gamer score here. And he's a completionist, and so he tried to actually complete as many of these as he could versus just cranking out gamer score. So there are some of those games like Monopoly Plus and the stack of that. He got the 970, 975, like didn't go for the full 1,000, just tried to move on. But he looks at this and leaves it with, I kind of want to do this again, but I want to start a fresh tag, and I want to go for like 60,000. Like, it's not that much out of the realm of possibility to like really plan this out better and go freaking nuts with,
especially with no platform restrictions. I mean,
oh yeah,
and you can get to the point where you're playing two things at once, even. You're on Xbox One, racking up your timer while you're on 360 playing Avatar.
Yep, and that's what he did. He had both going side by side. Like Band Hero on easy, he said, when you set it on easy, you literally just have to make noise for it to sync.
Oh, that's beginner. Yeah, you just put the microphone in front of a fan.
Yeah, yep. And he's like, so there you go, I'm getting those, that kind of thing. I should reread here and just see if he said for that next run if he would consider doing it without preloading to try and go for that. He might still do the preload piece, but
I think the key with that not saying it's not impressive, but for it to be kind of measurable in terms of you really only have 24 hours. I think the key would be making a fresh tag and having nothing preloaded. Like, you make that tag and then you start playing. Because
I agree.
Because, you can have someone like Matthias who probably has, I don't know, maybe he probably has that much in preloaded gamer score that he could pop in a day.
That's entirely possible.
Just already, on his tag. So, you could preload for months and months.
Oh, yeah.
And pop it all at once. And it's like, well, you kind of got it in 24 hours, but not really. But, it sounds like a lot of those games you can't really preload. Things like, Monopoly Plus and all that. And
yeah.
Geos.
Yep.
But just as kind of us, being able to measure it and compare it to other people that do the same thing.
Yeah. So he took a screenshot of his best TA days. And so number 3 best day was 44 achievements, and he got 1,900 gamer score. His number 2 was in June, just a month before his attempt. He got 36 achievements, but a whopping 2,500 gamer score. And then his number 1, July 13th, 625 achievements in a 24-hour period for 40,000 gamer score on the dot. And so, it's pretty cool. It looks neat, and congrats to V Sully for that. It's a nice milestone. It's a nice big chunk of change that you got there, but. Like Randy said, I'd be really interested to see kind of if this becomes a new, like, a race, like you get a 24-hour period to do things from scratch. What that record looks like.
Do you remember what Tarragon and his team's high score was when they did
24,000, I think?
I think it was. That's what I was thinking, something around there. But they restricted to Xbox One only.
Yes.
So.
Yes, they didn't play with multiple options and stuff. So all this talk about best gamer score in a day, all this. So Zach, what do you think? Is this because you're not an achievement guy? Do you even enjoy when maybe a Steam achievement pops up? Does that do anything for you, or do you even notice?
No. Steam achievements, because I don't track achievements. When one pops up, you don't know what it means. You don't really know what you did to achieve it, so it has no value.
Sure.
When I'm playing a game and an achievement pops up, it's like, you did this, congratulations, on Steam, because I play lots of Steam games. Obviously, I'm a PC gamer, so lots of the games I play are on Steam, so
kind of don't have a choice.
I get lots of these Steam achievements, and they don't mean anything to me. Is this popped up? It's like, you did a thing, and I'm like, oh, whatever. I was doing another thing while you interrupted me with this thing I was doing. So they hold no value at all when you're just playing games. I see how they have value,
sure.
But for me, when I'm playing a game, if I don't know what I'm doing, it doesn't matter at all. They just kind of pop up on the screen for a minute, and you're like, go away.
That's fair. I mean, I do that with my phone right now. Like, if I, Google Play achievements shows up, and it's like, what the hell is this garbage? Like, I don't care. I'm just playing your game. I don't care that I got, 200 passengers to London or whatever. Like, I'm just playing. Just leave me alone. But for some reason, man, Xbox, it gets me going.
It helps that Xbox kind of has the standard. I mean, I think I've said this before, but just that kind of, there's some structure to it where Steam is also even more so rampant with cheating, and like you get these ridiculous achievement lists that are like 10,000 achievements long, and just all these things that kind of make them less appealing, and inconsistency in that not every game has Steam achievements. Where Xbox, I don't know, they nailed it. They nailed it right from the get-go, and they made them real addicting.
Yeah, they did,
as we know. So now we're gonna try and we've got to try and justify our madness here. Now, we kind of talked about this off air, and I thought having a non-achievement person on here would maybe spark a little more argument, but I think maybe that's not going to be the case, but we'll see. So, I mean, Freem, what do you think? How do we justify achievement hunting as not a complete waste of time? I mean, I spent how many hours playing Gra for that one stupid achievement?
I mean, to be honest, though, I don't think I can justify.
I know. This
I look at
really well thought out.
I look at.
Am I going to justify better than you guys? Well, I already got an answer thought out. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Let's flip the role. How do you justify it?
Okay, so I'm going to justify it with an indie game I played. This is the best example I've got. So, have you guys ever played Super Meat Boy?
Yes.
I haven't played it. Yes. I know of it. For sure.
Okay, so it's a stupid little indie platformer game, and it's like, the thing is, it's supposed to be really difficult.
Yeah.
And the levels as you play, of course, get progressively more difficult. I would assume, like, hunting achievements is kind of like the feeling you get when you finally beat that stupid level on Super Meat Boy. When you beat it and you're like, it was something you thought you couldn't do, and you kind of doubt it for a while, and you went back and forth on whether you should quit or not, and then one time you're just doing it, you're going at it, and you finally get it, and it just, that moment where you're like, oh my god, I got that. I can't even believe it. It's surreal. You reach that moment where all your effort and like everything you've done finally peaked at this moment where you're like, I did something that like, seemed impossible a while ago. I can see the harder achievements for that. The little ones, it's like,
yeah, you pretty much nailed it there.
So let me build on to your analogy there. So I certainly think that's one of the early hooks is, oh man, I can't beat this guy. I can't beat this guy. Oh, I finally did it. Bling! Oh, that feels good. Yes. So I have a dog, and he takes medicine every night. And so he could be all the way upstairs. I will open the little medicine cabinet downstairs and shake the bottle once. And he knows what I do is I take a little bit of peanut butter and I put the pill in the peanut butter. And so if I shake that pill, that means it's peanut butter time. Right? It's traditional behavioral response. It's Pavlovian. That's exactly what's happening. So when we, as achievement hunters, try really, really hard and we get that bleep bloop, it's like, oh, okay, that felt pretty good. I kind of want some more of that. Huh. Well, how can I get that? If I just play this generic game, I can go for other things, but they just start feeding you little bits on those easy things, and you're like, oh yeah, every one of these sounds, they feel real good. Like I'm getting peanut butter. This is awesome. And then, then there's those ones that, like you mentioned, they are challenging, and you're putting a lot into it. Though, those typically have better stories to them. They are more rewarding when you achieve those, when you get those. And yes, the little ones in between are good and they feel good, but they don't necessarily carry the weight of those other ones. But now you've conditioned your body to get a response from hearing that achievement unlock sound, and every one of those little dopamine hit, and you're feeling like $1 million. And so then you have this weird, and I look at Randy like your brain wiring is so messed up to the fact that you're like, I will endure physical pain to get that, by playing Gra for 1,000 hours or whatever the hell you did.
See, I'm just too addicted to the easy ones because they don't do it for me anymore. The easy ones they're just there to clean up. They're worthless.
That's
you gotta get the full completion. You gotta get the Gras. You gotta get the high ratio.
Yeah, that's like marijuana to a heroin addict. It doesn't do anything for you anymore. That's child's play. That's like taking Tylenol when really I want crack cocaine.
Though, once in a while, I'll get a little itch. And I'll be like, yeah, let's get some easy ones.
Give me the hard stuff, baby.
Most of the time, it's those completions. Those completions and the big completions.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with the completions. I like the idea of completing something. It gets that rush where you're like, I did it. I got everything. I'm done. I did this in full. No questions asked. The little ones, I could never just be the guy that got all the little easy ones because you'd be like, they would have no value at that point. It's like just beating a couple.
They do more sense. So on Xbox because you've got the running number. But no, I'm with you on that. In that you have the completion and you have something to show. Like it's, there it is, 1,000 out of 1,000 Gamerscore. It's done. So,
but Zach, are you then like, you'd see like competitive games and those things, but I assume at some point you play narrative games. Do you like? Does a completion mean anything to you, or is for you the victory in just finishing the story? Like, oh yeah, that's my completion. I get the same sensation, and there's usually achievements associated with that, but like I don't care about the other stuff. Like that doesn't do anything for me. Is that kind of the angle you take then, or have you just
have you played? What's that story-driven game that we talked about that was really good with the girl?
Life is Strange.
Have you played Life is Strange?
Oh yeah, we talk about Life is Strange all the time.
Life is Strange is a good story-driven game.
We have a special cast where we talk spoilers about that.
There was achievements for that game, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not related to the story though.
I didn't care about those.
Yeah.
The achievements meant nothing. Photos. The photos meant nothing. None of that collection. I liked the story. I played it enough to get through the story and kind of try the different things, but the achievements in that game had no value. I played through the story for the story and nothing else.
Sure.
Like that game was driven by the story and the characters. If there were extra puzzles in there or little bonus things, I didn't really pay too much attention to them.
So it's just terrible game design is what I'm hearing. They messed up the achievement list.
Well, what other achievements do you put in there? I mean, if you don't care about achievements and you just want the story, I mean...
That game was fun for the story, though. Like, that was a story game. Yeah. That was a good story.
Oh, totally.
And, like, you cared about the characters, and it was good for those reasons, in my mind.
But what about, like, a character platformer or something? I mean, it's, it likely didn't have achievements or doesn't have achievements, but, you have Mario back in the day or so. I know you're a little younger than that, but...
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
One of the only games I have a completion medal for was on the PlayStation. I completed every achievement for Little Big Planet, and that took me probably months. That's the only game I've ever completed, and one of the things was to beat every single level without dying one at a time. I probably spent like 2 months doing that. But when I finally beat that last level, that was the only time I've collected achievements, but man, that was a good feeling.
See?
Oh, 2 months
what happened?
I spent.
Why'd you give up? You don't want that feeling again?
It's just that game, Little Big Planet, did a good job of, like, you wanted the achievement seemed so impossible. That's what I liked. I liked that feeling of impossibility, and then, like, you finally do it.
Sure, breaking through.
I feel like you really nail it with the impossibility, because I look at that that is part of what kept me going with Gra and Quake is... I think it was around 2012, right shortly after I signed up for TA and kind of was getting out of RuneScape because I didn't like the direction the game was going. I set a goal for myself to get every online achievement on my tag, except for Quake and Gra, because I was like, those are impossible. And Kane and Lynch. I was like, those are impossible. There's no way I'll ever get those. And then, I started, joining boosting sessions with One Box. I was like, hey, this is cool. I can find people to, finally get some of these multiplayer achievements done. Then I encountered a group of double boxers, and I was like, oh, you mean I can buy a second one of these and a second copy and go twice as fast? oh, I like that. And I was like, I can buy 2 more of these and do Quake in 100 hours or in 200 hours. I like that. And then, fast forward a couple years, I've done Quake by myself, something I thought was impossible. And it's just so satisfying.
Yeah, that impossible feeling when you set out and you're like, you almost start not thinking you can do it, and you're like, we'll just start and like whatever, we'll see how it goes, and then you get into it and you're like, well, we start it now, and you keep going, and it kind of just gets to that point where you're like, no, I have to do this now. It was impossible, but we're doing it now. I don't care.
See, the thing for me was it wasn't so much just trying like, yeah, I'll try this and see if I can do it. It was when I bought 4 Xboxes and 4 copies of a Quake. It's like, I'm doing this. I mean, there's no question.
You were at the we're doing this point. You passed let's just get started.
Yeah, it was just like, let's just buy everything. And then we'll get going. And yeah, then once you get going, you just go. I mean, that Quake was probably, no, I was going to say Quake is probably worse than Gra, but Quake is bad in a different way. But Gra is just, oh man. I would never do that again. Never, ever. But so satisfying.
See, I've never done achievements on Microsoft or on Xbox. Yeah, Xbox,
so you
Microsoft,
need to get an Xbox.
So the problem is, like, there's never been this... I've never tried a system where it's, like, everything's set up. Like, if everything is set up in a way that, like, you guys are claiming it is, where it's everything just leads together, because part of, like, hunting achievements in Little Big Planet or in anything, like, and winning in games, is there always... Any game I play that I like to win at... There has to be some sort of, like, when I played Overwatch, I played it a little bit, it was fun, and then they threw in the ranked system where there was a ladder and a tier and everything was put together and you had your Gamerscore for Overwatch and you could climb that ladder and get better and compare to other people. That's when it hit. That's when you start playing.
See, that sounds like signing up for True Achievements to me.
Like, that's very important.
The gateway.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's just like... You sign up for True Achievements, is like, then you have like your site ranking, your completion percentage, your ratio of how hard your achievements are, how many games you've played, how many games you've completed, and you just have all these stats and just all these stats to compare to other people in this, kind of Gamerscore metagame that we love. And yeah, see, now I think you'd be hooked if you got an Xbox and got on TA.
I don't know. I don't like
the question is, do you want to be hooked?
Yeah, the question is, do I want to be hooked? I played League of Legends for a couple of years. I don't want that. I don't want to play that.
It's
game.
not quite that bad. It's not. I mean, some people, but generally, probably not quite that bad.
League of Legends is like, let's just get to Diamond and then we'll be fine. It's like 400 hours later, you're like, I have to stop.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right, so let's move on. We'll find I'm sure there's be plenty of other things we can talk about. One thing I do want to talk about is Zach, are you familiar with speed running? You ever do that?
Oh yeah. I watched some of the Twitch streams where they speed run like Mario World and all that fun stuff.
Sure. Does that do anything for you? Is that
watching it or doing it? Like
either.
Watching it's all right. Like anything on Twitch, I'll watch if it's like 2 a.m. and I can't fall asleep. But it's not my top thing to watch. No, not really.
Yeah. Okay. There's a new type of speedrunning out there for the Sims, specifically the Sims 4. Actually, that's coming to console here really soon. But yeah, one of the new speedrunning tasks or goals or popular trends is trying to see how fast child services will take your kids away.
I watched some of this video. Hilarious.
So now, neglecting your children in the game, thankfully they don't die, but child services will come in. And so this Kotaku article talks about Simply Seas, I want to say. She has the record, and she can do it in about 15 minutes and 30 seconds in that area. And so you can actually watch the speed run here. I'll put a link in the show notes. Now, the speed run requires you to get pregnant. So find another sim, get pregnant, have the baby, then get the baby taken away. And so it's that duration of time, which, you know, they talk about how to do it, and it says, you know, one of the key things is try to make time fast forward. And so you got to get your sim to sleep, but if you sleep too much, then, like, they get close to dying. Like, they actually have to deliver the baby, and so you need to, like, I think Simply Seas here says that she almost died because her fun meter went all the way down, because they ignored it, and they're like, oh crap, you know, gotta stay alive so we can have this baby, so then I can ignore it once it's out. Anyway, 15 minutes, like, this is brilliant. Like, people will speedrun anything.
I'm still convinced they're the only people more hardcore than achievement hunters.
Speedrunners?
Speedrunners are crazy.
I think I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Right? There's a level of complexity here that just, it boggles my mind. But I mean, we just got done with you know, the summer games done quick here in Minneapolis, and I mean, just watching some of those videos and stuff, it's like, man, you guys are nuts.
Yeah, it's intense, and it's like, okay, you know, we'll do 10,000 kills in Gears of War. They'll play Metroid 2 10,000 times. It's like that's how hardcore they are, you know.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
It's intense.
Yeah, they're not all short either. I've watched some where it's like, you guys have been streaming for like 8 hours to finish the entire game in like however amount of time, and like 8 hours in, I couldn't do that 100 times.
Agreed.
Well, and you know, you do a 45-minute run to shave off 5 seconds.
Yep.
Maybe, you know,
if you don't screw it up.
Yeah, it's intense.
You know, and it's one of those things too, like where like a run will hinge on one specific glitch working, and like if it doesn't, it's like, well, there goes that totally wasted time.
Yeah, or one specific spawn that only happens every 30 attempts. Yeah, you have to get halfway through the level of the game or whatever to do it. I know there's a few in GoldenEye 64 like that, where, you know, it hinges on like 2 specific spawns, which means only 1 in 32 or 64 runs or something is even possible to get the time. Then you have to also be perfect in that run that happens to have the right spawn. It's just like, and people do it. Like, people will still do it. It's crazy.
That is nuts. Not for me, thanks. This is a non-gaming. Well, I mean, it involves a gaming industry person, but it's so we have a new number 1 richest person in the world. I don't know if you guys saw this. Yeah. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he is now number 1 in wealth. He passes Bill Gates, who I think Bill Gates has had it since 2013. In May of 2013, Bill Gates was the richest. I saw somebody on Twitter who's like, well, you see what happens when you start giving all your money away?
Yeah, so I was going to say, I think he would still have it if he didn't give away like 80% of his wealth or whatever it was.
I think they're just, you know, overall, well, in general, but I think Amazon closed high in the most recent stock market, and so that pushed the company's wealth above and made his global wealth even more. So now he is number 1, and they were talking about just how much money he has and all that stuff. So anyway, interesting. Did you
read some of those specs? They were unreal.
Yeah, they're pretty wild.
If his money was like put to yours, it would only cost him like 26 cents to buy a brand new Lamborghini.
I saw the one, was it, oh crap, why can't I remember his name? The physicist guy, no. Oh my god, I'm picturing him here, he's hilarious. Anyway, he was like, so he took his money and took single dollar bills and laid them end to end. He would wrap around the earth 273 times and then be able to go to the moon. And then you could stack them on top of each other like 10 meters deep or something like that. It was, ridiculous. Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's who I'm thinking. Just insane amount of money. I wish I had some of that. That would be nice.
Why do you even keep working? Like, just enjoy it.
He's an achievement hunter, Randy.
I guess so. If his achievements were, if his money is his achievements.
Yeah, number one in the world for money. So. Achievement unlocked.
That's a hard
leaderboard achievement unlocked.
Yeah.
Finally took. Bill Gates has been blocking for fun and a living for a very long time.
Yep. What a leaderboard blocker, man.
It's like the Kane and Lynch leaderboards. It's just they're just warring constantly.
Yeah. Randy, what you got some Dead Rising 4 news here. Is it zombie news or is just you being happy this is just in
great. This
others'
great
misery?
News. Well, specific people's misery, specifically the people that made this terrible mess of a game. So apparently now this is from a forum post, so you got to be kind of careful. But some of the info came from Capcom's website, but apparently the estimated sales or like sales goal for Dead Rising 4 was about 2 million copies. Well, not sure how many have sold, but it hasn't made it onto Capcom's 1 million plus seller list. So that means they're at least 1 million units less than what they expect to sell, which is amazing because it's terrible. And maybe it can just die. Maybe we can just let Dead Rising die and just leave it as is. Just forget Dead Rising 4 exists.
Wait for the reboot?
No reboot. That's what they tried to do with 4. Bad idea.
Yeah, I suppose.
It was like a soft reboot. They were trying to do like the soft reboot thing.
Well, I think they did this is what the fans want, and they were dead wrong.
They didn't even... Well, the problem is Dead Rising 4 it's like it was made by people who have never played Dead Rising before.
Yeah.
They're just like, it's about killing zombies, right? It's like, well, kind of. I mean, not really.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, that's why Walking Dead is so successful. It's not about the zombies. It's about the people. It's a good story about people and how they're surviving. And yes, there happens to be zombies. It could just as well be, sentient trees that eat people. Like it doesn't matter what the force is.
And it is fun to kill zombies in funny ways, but that is not, maybe that's what draws you into the game, but it's not what keeps you there.
It could be penguins. It's fun to kill. It's fun to
exactly. You can replace the zombies with just about anything. It's the same thing. It's fun to kill them and rip their arms off and smash their head in with a guitar.
Put a cone on their head and watch them all bump into each other. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
But the reality is, the gameplay the game has interesting mechanics that not a lot of games have, and it creates a believable world for the most part with a sense of urgency that really not a lot of games can capture. And they just missed the ball. Now they're like, it's just about killing as many zombies as you can, right? Here's an exosuit.
Yeah.
Like, what? No. Like, what do you... It's not Frank. We're bringing Frank back, going back to our roots. So we're making him not look like Frank and have a different voice actor, not act like Frank, and, just basically not resemble Frank in any way.
Yeah. I mentioned this on the last show, but I'm really nervous about the new Shadow of War for similar reasons, where it's like, hey, all right, the sequel, right? We got to go bigger and better. And so, this is what people want, right? More orcs, more killing, and we'll do, base building stuff, and we'll do, army management, right? People want to do that. And it's like, I'm not entirely sure I want to.
It's are you overextending what you do well? You don't need to have every genre in every game.
Yeah, it reminds me of Assassin's Creed Revelations, like I said. I don't want to do the stupid tower defense, den defense crap. I don't want to do Mediterranean defense. I don't want to micromanage these assassins that don't do anything. They literally just go out and get me money. Just give me money. I don't need to have this dumb meta game that doesn't... It's not even a game. Yeah. So that's what I'm nervous, hearing some of the things where it's and then you can, you pick your war chief who matches up well with the opponent's war chief, and then you've got to take down all these things, and it's okay, I mean, I'm kind of on board, but you're you're taking what I really liked about it, and then you're adding more words to it, and those words aren't necessarily lining up with what I want to do per se. But we'll see. I don't know. So I'm curious. Now, that being said, okay, we ultimately, there's a lot of games coming up here in the near future, and I'm going to tie this to movies as well. But it's kind of a discussion segment that we want to have, and we'll likely do this with other guests and things, because I think this is an interesting topic that we should broach. But it's in regards to reviews, because I'm hearing, I just mentioned about the Shadow of War stuff, and I'm hearing these things, and I haven't played it yet, but now it's making me nervous, and certainly it's not going to affect my day one purchase if I were to pull the trigger on it, which I'm not. But for Destiny, I'm gonna buy that anyway, and so I could see how if there's an overwhelmingly negative response to the preset or the pre-sale reviews, then I might change my tune. But ultimately, where do we fall on reviews? Do you even use reviews to influence your game buying decisions? Is that something that plays into it? And so one anecdote I want to say is in terms of movies. It absolutely influences me with movies, because I don't have time to go to movies. And so I don't, I need to pick a good movie to go see, because I'm going to be real pissed if I sit for 2 hours and watch something I don't want to watch. And so my kids recently have been, and I should, while I'm doing this, I should actually confirm what the current Rotten Tomatoes is on this thing, but
is this the Emoji Movie?
This is the Emoji Movie.
It was at 0% yesterday.
I saw that. That's why I want to check and see if it's still at 0%. Because they are really excited for the Emoji Movie. And so we had mentioned recently to the kids.
It's up to 6%.
6%.
It's still bad.
I
think Alvin and the Chipmunks was 4.
What exactly that means? Because they're like, well, how many Rotten Tomatoes did they get? I'm like, well, it's at 6%. It's at 0% is what I was telling them. It's not reviewing well. And they're like, well, but how many popcorns did it get? I'm like, well, that's not how this works. This works is they take everybody. So I would say I would give it this, and I tell them how to essentially explain an aggregate score to them. I'm not entirely sure it's sitting in, but they're like, well. And so my son's trying to justify it by saying, well, some people who go and see these movies, they just have to see them, and so they're not really interested in seeing it. And so I think it looks pretty funny. I kind of want to go see it. And I'm like, oh God, please don't take me to this piece of garbage. I really don't want, and I assume I've seen most of the jokes that are in the commercials, and it's okay. There are some's okay, I guess. Maybe I'll laugh. It's the
Emoji Movie.
But
just the concept.
This review, or seeing the collection review saying 6%, makes me just steer so far away from this that it is effectively doing what it's supposed to be. And I will admittedly say, yes, I totally agree with this. Well, now, if I'm looking at a game, it's I use reviews, but I don't put a ton of stock into it, because I typically play games in a different way than others because of the achievement hunting and just the time spent. And so I'll do watch some gameplay and then look at the achievement list and say, okay, what do I think this is worth? And that's how I make my buying decisions. And so reviews, yes, they kind of play into it, but not as much. Randy, what about you? Let's set the stage on this side, and then we'll kick it over to Zach. What are your stance on reviews?
So I have a few different stances on reviews. So I put the most weight on Metacritic because I think, like Rotten Tomatoes, the aggregator is much better, and typically the reviewer sites on there are kind of more established. Now, on the other hand, I also really don't trust almost any of the major game reviewers because I think they're bad. The reviews they're overly forgiving
Yeah.
And it just to the point where it feels like the big publishers and the big, review sites or news sites are just kind of, in bed, where it's like, oh, we'll give you review copies and you give us good reviews, right? And kind of you see things like that happen from time to time. Like, I know there was that incident where, I don't know if it was confirmed, but the guy was suspected to have been fired because he gave Kane and Lynch a bad review. That was quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
There's
always been talk about that.
Kotaku that was blacklisted because they gave something a bad review or something.
Yeah.
And just, all these things that you see happening is like when somebody gives an honest review, they just get blacklisted and then they can't review anymore, or they can't review on time, so the reviews aren't worthwhile anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just things like that. And it just over the years, it just adds to my raininess and not really trusting anything. Particularly the big reviewers. Then on the other hand, as I know, when somebody gives you a review code, it's almost, I mean, I don't know if I'd take it that far, but I mean, it's almost kind of like conflict of interest is, you don't want to just, somebody gives you a code for their game, you don't want to just riff on it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to give an honest review. And, I feel like we do a pretty good job of that.
Right.
But at the same time, I know that kind of conflict is like, man, like, I don't want to just sit there and rip on this game, but it's fair. Like, it's most of the games we play are fine. They're not, I haven't done reviews in a while since taking over the editing, but
yeah. But I would contend that, I feel like you pull your punches on a lot of those. Like,
yeah, and when we feel it's justified, we're not going to omit something. But at the same time, we're not going to just unfairly rip on things. Kind of, I think that was kind of the our original intent with the Shovelware Cemetery, versus how it kind of transitioned when we started actually digging into these games, and it was like, well, we can sit here and rip on these unfairly, but it's that's not something that's a sustainable segment, put it that way. Especially for these smaller titles where it's like, most of them aren't terrible. They're not AAA status by any means, but they're not AAA price either.
Yeah.
So, when you look at a $5 or $10 game and you get a few hours worth of enjoyment out of it, I mean, it's hard to bash it.
Right.
But anyway, with that, I mean, I will look at a review, and of course, it does influence my buying decision, either consciously or subconsciously, because that number is going to stick in my mind whenever I think about that game. Oh, unless I play it, until I play it, then I can make my own judgment. But it's like, oh, I heard that was bad. It got bad reviews on Metacritic. More so for the bad reviews than the good reviews. If I see Call of Duty got 97 again this year, I'll be like, whatever. Or if I really wanted to get a bad review, like Dead Rising 4, it'll be like, oh, that got 20% on Metacritic. But no, I mean, it of course influences me. And the funny thing is, too, once it gets low enough, then it influences me in a different way. Then I want to see, how did it get 20%?
Yeah.
Like,
it
what
can't
happened?
possibly be this bad?
What happened? Well, not it can't possibly be this bad. Is like, why is it this bad and how hilarious is it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for it to get 20% on Metacritic, that's bad. Like, that's really bad.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you're going to get, like, 20 sympathy percent kind of thing. Like, apparently Canadian football is real rough.
Oh, I hear that.
Did you see the clip of that one of the guy kicks the ball and it goes the opposite direction?
No, I didn't. Oh my god, that sounds awesome.
Straight through his body toward your own Sportsnet, whatever it's called in sports ball. So I think I'll have to play that one. It looks like a new Shovelware Cemetery contender for sure.
There you go. All right.
But, I mean, I guess to summarize, of course, they influence my decision, but I try not to let them carry too much weight, and I like to look at many sources from kind of, of course I will look at the big review sites, big news sites, but I also kind of like to spread that opinion out
Sure.
between smaller outlets as well, just to really get a feel for it.
Right. That makes sense. So Zach, that comes to you. How do you make your game buying decisions? What do you take stock in reviews? Do you seek out those types of information, or are you how do you come across your purchasings?
Well, there's a couple of keywords you look for. You look for Ubisoft or Activision. Those are big red flags. No, but really, game reviews and movie reviews are definitely different. For movie reviews, same as you, I go Rotten Tomatoes. If it's got a 90, I'll probably go see that. Like, why not?
Right.
But game reviews are totally different. I do a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Like, I'll watch the IGN reviews. Not that I trust a word IGN says.
Yeah.
Because they're terrible people.
It's funny because I take it the same way. Like, I do not adhere to anything they have to say usually. Like, for whatever reason, I just don't agree with their stance.
Now, do you guys not trust them for the same reason I do, or do you have your own reasons for not trusting them?
I don't trust a word they say. Just because it feels like they don't take anything into account that's wrong with games unless, like, it's drastically wrong or they've somehow picked a bean with it for no reason at all, and then for some reason it'll be there, like, it's not Call of Duty. -2 points. And you're like, well, yeah, it's Titanfall.
Of course it's not Call of Duty.
Or they'll compare games to other games, and it's like, well, when you compare, they love to compare Battlefield and, like, Call of Duty all the time because they're both first-person shooters. It's like they're very different game styles.
Totally different games.
You can't take points away from Battlefield for being slower than Call of Duty. That's the idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's just... And it drives me nuts that games get compared like that. Like, Call of Duty has set this weird standard for, like, lots of review companies or reviewers. They'll be like, oh, well, this shooter is... If it's a shooter, it's going to get compared to Call of Duty, which is, like, different than movies. That's like comparing every action movie to every other action movie and basing them off whatever was a good action movie. It's like, I don't know what's a good action movie. Like, this... Compare every action movie ever to Die Hard. And it's like, well, yeah, it's not... Is Die Hard good? I don't know. It's not Die Hard, but it's another movie. Like, it's different. It's different for these reasons. And I feel like games are compared in a weird standard that way, so that leaves lots of reviewers to compare games rather than just rate the game as a game itself. Well, and they get these weird reviews.
I think that's a good way to look at it, and that's something that kind of when early on when we talked about reviews and when we talk about a game before we review it is we factor in the price as a huge factor in the review.
Yeah.
Because, that very early on we realized it's like we can't compare these games AAA games, like, because all the stuff we review is indie stuff that we get codes for.
Yeah.
And it's unfair to compare, $4.99 indie shooter to Call of Duty. Like, it's just, this is made by two people on a budget of $5, and this is like $500 million and 5,000 people working on it. It's like, that's not a fair comparison.
No, not at all.
And the prices reflect that. So, and I think that's something that really doesn't ever get factored in.
No, it never gets factored in, and all AAA games seem to, like, it's like, you'll see these review companies, it almost seems like they're pressured not only by, like, maybe they're pressured by the game companies themselves, but it almost seems like they're pressured by the industry and the fans. Like, you'll see an IGN review with, oh, we gave them a 6 for this, and they'll be like, oh, maybe I agree with that, maybe I don't. But the dislikes for that video are going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, you will get hate for hating on the newest whatever. If you hate the new Halo for whatever reason because it's crap, people will hate you for that. And gaming's weird like that, where you'll have these people who already have set opinions and they don't care what happens. They'll hate you for whatever reason, and the game gets a 10 at the end of the day. And it's almost like, it's just weird.
I don't think there is more, like, there's so much hype in gaming that, like, I think the only thing that has more hype than gaming is, like, Apple products.
I can see that.
Because really, like, what can you think of that people get that excited for that they're that upset when you criticize it, period?
And games almost get put to that point where it's like, it gets brought up to this point where it's almost like, if you criticize this game, you're just crushing my dreams that these advertisements have showed me. And they don't want to know other things. It's like you've been brainwashed.
And additionally, like, we've been all conditioned now where, a 6 might as well be a 0. Like, the scale doesn't mean anything anymore, and there's no like distinction, and no one can be honest about it and say, because you hear a 6 and you're like, well, yep, that they think that's garbage, but like, so then all of a sudden a 7 is super close to garbage, but a 7.5 is like kind of playable. It's
like the 7 is like, you can have like 7.0 and it should be a 1. You can have like 7.5, it's like 6.5. You can have like 7.9, it's like, that's like a good 85.
Yeah.
Or like, what it should be. Like that 7 range is very, because I agree. I'm going to look up now what Dead Rising 4 was, because I think it was like 68 or like 72 or something. But it was in that zone where it's like, yeah, that's rough for Dead Rising.
Yeah.
Yeah, and games are kind of weird because so many games hit that 8 or 9 range, and there's so many genre of games, and it feels like they all just review them as games. Like, oh, this gets a 9 for this gets a 9 for this gets a 9 for this, and there's games don't really have any compare to set. It's like, oh, well, it's good for these different reasons. There's so many reasons a game can be good, and it's like, well, if you like open world games, this is a 9, but as overall, it's only a 6 because it doesn't have a story. And you're like, well, right. I don't play games for the story. I play them for the open world. And then it falls apart, and you're not going to play this game that you potentially would have loved just because it got a 6, because it doesn't have a story and it doesn't have good graphics. Graphics, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
graphics in games, it's like, this game has good graphics and looks super shiny. That's a 9. It's like, well, it doesn't have a story, it doesn't have any characters, it doesn't have any particle effects. It's only an hour long, and they're like, it is so shiny.
But it's graphics.
It is a 9. And you're like, well, you can't do that. And they're like, it's shiny, it's a 9, get out of here.
Yeah.
We spent $300 million marketing this. It's a 9.
Everything's chrome. That's the game. It's a 9.
So yeah, Dead Rising 2, 72 on Metacritic from critics. 4.6 from users. That's out of 10, not out of 100.
Yeah, something happened there.
Yeah, but I mean, I assume 4.6 is probably what it should get. Or, maybe not quite that low. But in that range versus, the critic score, which is significantly higher. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
It's tough. It's really tough. And I think you brought up a good point, too, of there's nothing to really compare it to. Right. Because that's the thing. Like, maybe Forza 17 is really worthy of 97%, but I don't like racing simulation games.
Right.
So I'd give it a 1 because doesn't do anything for me.
And it's like 17. Like, that's another thing that never gets compared in reviews. Like, there was a Call of Duty last year. Did this improve upon that? No, it's equally as good, just reskinned. It gets another 9. How can you do that 12 times?
Right.
Yeah.
And still get 9s? It's like, do I have to buy this game? Well, the game got a 9.
That's the only time that they compare it as a standalone product. It's when it's a yearly franchise.
Yeah, it's like every year it gets a fresh start. Like, if this is the first Call of Duty you're buying, it's a 9. If it's the 12th Call of Duty you're buying, it hasn't improved, but it's still a 9 for unknown reasons. Like, come on.
But shooter number 5 over there from indie studio number 2, it's not Call of Duty.
Yeah, not going to cut it.
Yeah, it's not shiny.
2. Yeah.
All right. Well, so I mean, there it is. That's kind of a little bit of our take on reviews as they stand. I'm curious about. I mean, we'll keep asking around. There is some value in there, and for the general population, certainly the garbage is, that's something you can avoid, and if it's traditionally panned, that you want to stay away from it anyway. So,
except for me.
Yeah, I think we'll kind of get ready to wrap up the show. Are you what are you planning on doing this it's the end of the month, so that makes life tricky for kind of planning ahead. The only thing I want to do is I got to finish Spectre. I think I need to die like 100 times for my win of the week to fully complete itself. So I want to do that. I want to finish Valley this weekend. But other than that, like, Tuesday comes around, I got my brand new random to-do list, and so that's gonna tell me exactly what I want to play for the month of August. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. But Randy, you don't necessarily adhere to that. What's your plan for the upcoming week, month, near future?
I think I might have to try and scramble to get one achievement in the random to-do list this month, because I have not gotten any, and it's rough. I've hardly played any games this month, and it's bumming me out. So I'm gonna try and get some in this weekend.
All that moving
moving and big rigs and big rigs. I'm gonna just inject that here while I remember, because
why not?
That's what happens with me. It is officially submitted to ID at Xbox with a demo. The second part of the application is in.
Nice.
And now this is where the big decision happens. So the next time I hear from them, it's either, yep, you got to go ahead and we're going to send you some dev kits, or nope, this game is obviously a joke. And you can. So it was really funny writing this application too, because I had to write it as if it was serious.
Yeah.
But serious in a way that explains the comedy of
the silliness. So
it's like, you don't write it as if this game is meant to be taken seriously. You write it as if you are seriously making a game that's not meant to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Which is
right.
a really
weird, tough line.
It's a really weird way to write an application. Like it was difficult to write. I mean, it wasn't super long or anything, but it's like I really had to think about this few sentences I was writing in each of the questions. It's just like, man,
sure.
How do I describe the comedy of this game? It's like, kind of can't really. Like, it's gonna appeal to a certain audience, not really anyone else. But anyway, so I was pretty excited about that. So that, I've been doing that too. That's been busy. Of course, this month too, getting all the podcast stuff going and learning how to edit and all that, and of course moving. So I'm hoping I've got some loose plans to work on Saints Row 2 German version. I'll probably try and squeeze something in from the random to-do list, maybe pick up something easy. And I really I want to finish Halo Spartan Assault. I'm really close to that, so I'll probably do that this weekend. And I'm getting really close. I say really close for Killer Instinct. I mean, there's still lots to do, but it's getting to the point where it's looking like the end is in reasonable sight now. So I think I might make a push to finish that soon, because that'll be a really nice completion.
Yeah, absolutely.
460 something achievements, I think.
Jeez Louise.
So yeah,
that's obscene. Zach, what about you?
It's crazy.
What's your plan for the upcoming week, month? You got you're just gonna be like neck deep into Vive, or do you have some other plans?
A bunch of Vive games. That's true. Maybe I'll try to get like Platinum Diamond in Overwatch again. That's painful though.
Yeah.
So
are they resetting every month, or the season's longer? I guess I don't remember.
Every 3 months they reset, which isn't too bad. It's enough time that you can struggle and then get reset at the end.
Sure.
Struggle once again. It's good. It's great. I'll probably play a bunch more Vive games, but it kind of like you play the games they have now and they're cool and fun and like it's phenomenal to play them, but there's no depth to them. You can't sit there for like 5 hours and go in. Like I can't wait for Fallout 4 to come out in VR, because that's a game you can actually play.
Yeah, right.
As opposed to lots of the games now where it's like you just play them for a little bit for almost gimmicky, like you get into it, you play a little bit, and then you're like, 20 minutes later, you've achieved nothing, you've done nothing, you've just played this demo over and over again. I wonder if you
jumped off the building for 300 times.
Yeah, I wonder if you could speed run it, see how fast you could hit the ground. If you flail your arms, maybe you fall faster, I don't know. I'll try speed running that, I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
That's pretty much it.
Well, fantastic. Let's why don't we get into some of our last bits of segments here, just so that we have those. Knobs and Discos, our home for unobtainable and discontinued achievements. Randy, what do we got here?
Well, we've got Payday 2 Crime Wave Edition. Some new achievements came in with the June update, and one is broken.
Broke it!
The $1.8 million speedrun achievement is glitched. So I'm going to have to double check if it's obtainable. I think it's obtainable, but it's buggy, so I think you have to be careful. Yeah, it's not flagged as unobtainable. So if you plan on getting that achievement, check it out beforehand. Make sure you don't miss it, or hit the bug. But there are no actual unobtainable achievements this week. It is just that one.
Did this also cause issues with other achievements too, I thought, or did those get fixed?
I think they're okay.
Okay.
I only see... Let me check. I only see one buggy flag, so it's just that one.
I was reading kind of some of the forums, and I thought that this patch came through and like kind of messed up a bunch of stuff. But I know they're fixing it, but
don't listen to that with the flags. Okay. I'm wrong. So just keep an eye out for that achievement if you plan on completing or starting the game. Get the details on TA.
Right, there you go. And then, of course, we have Reviews Ed with, Damien's back and planting.
Back
so
to the normal crew this week.
Wonderful. Let's kick it over to them.
All right. So this week on Reviews Ed, or What's Week this week? Actually, that's a throwback to an old skit on Almost Live, which was a sketch comedy show right before Saturday Night Live. Back in my old hometown of Seattle. It brought us that unfortunate atrocity, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Except he was a superhero called Speedwalker. Anyway, I digress. Hey, Warren.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So this week, actually that probably would be a more interesting 15-minute segment. But instead, we're going to talk about Narcosis. And the game, not the actual narcosis, the medical term. But anyway, the game is published and developed by Honor Code. It was released on May 10th, 2017. It is a Xbox One ID title with a Xbox Live store price of $19.99 US. And I'll let you start on this one, and then I'll feed in, because I know you have a lot to say on it, Warren.
Oh, God. Well, let me start by saying this game seems to be really difficult when it comes to which profile is signed in. So if you have more than one profile signed in at once, make sure it's you, and make sure the game says it's you from the get-go, because if it doesn't, like me, it will probably eat your save, which is, needless to say, frustrating after making progress in this game.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to redo it.
No. Besides that, the checkpointing is really rough. So if you finish a play session thinking that you're going to come back somewheres near where you were, think again. There's a good chance you're going to be replaying a lot of game to get back to where you were before you signed off for the day.
Yeah, I found, though, that the chapters, I mean, there's 10 or 12 chapters. So as long as you get, so what I would end up doing is I would just make it to the end of the chapter and then wait for the next one to start. I mean, any of the chapters, if you do them from scratch, some of them will have you wander around for a bit. But if you just are like, hey, I got to go, I need to figure this one out, and you just go to the walkthrough. The walkthrough on TA is very nice because it's broken up by each chapter. So you could sit there and go, oh, this is just where you go to get to the end of that chapter. Because once you get to the end of the chapter, you can always go back and replay it in this select screen, which is actually nice for the collectibles.
Okay, that's a big plus, because I was just kind of playing through my run, and I was having a hard time identifying where they are. They are definitely hidden well.
So I guess for people listening that if you don't know, so Narcosis takes place very, very, very far under the sea. You basically, what I would attribute it to? A more quote-unquote modern, real-life BioShock.
Oof.
In the sense that
for the setting, yes,
yeah, for setting. That's about where the similarity ends. I was really wishing I should go play BioShock when playing this. You are underwater in a submarine suit, and you have to basically it's a first person. They call it survival horror. I would say it's more of a survival suspense. Not really horror. There's definitely a lot of mind trickery, because one of the things that you'll find out is if you were actually in real life stuck underwater that long, just having to breathe through oxygen tubes and all that, you would start seeing some of the stuff that you start seeing in this game, which is what's the best way to put it? Just mind jarring,
trippy.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll just turn a corner and things are not what they had seemed previously. Just weird stuff happens constantly.
But nothing that's horror, like, there's certain games, like I remember that I was playing that you'd go to bed and you just are like, the story itself is what freaks you out in your head. This one wasn't like a horror in that sense. I think it was just more, suspense. Like, whoa, that's weird, but I didn't go to bed thinking, man, I'm going to die in the bottom of the ocean.
No, neither did I.
Yeah. The controls, though, oh my gosh. Ugh.
Oh, to their credit, though, it's probably about what using a little sub that far under the ocean would feel like. Really,
you're not
sluggish.
In a sub. You're in a suit.
Suit. Yeah,
I don't know.
Agonizingly slow.
Yeah, and you don't really jump. It's a boot. I don't know. I had a much better time controlling a Big Daddy.
Oh, granted. I will say one of my favorite features of this game, I'm assuming it's a feature, is that for the sections when you're not inside the like base area, although they're even to some extent, even when you are, you'll see blue luminescent coral that kind of points you toward where you're going. So if you're ever lost, just aim toward blue glowing, and that's the way. Yeah.
So you basically, it takes place underwater, as we were saying. And there is I guess it's a habitat. You find out early on that it was, kind of destroyed due to mining. Basically, it's a mining exploration rig or something, and they're doing method. I don't remember something. I don't want to really give away too much of the story because I think where this game does shine, if you read any of the reviews, and even I'll agree, having played through and beat it, the story you play through to the end. The story is honestly the highlight of this game. It is one of those ones. Now, granted, it's a one-time playthrough story, so it's once you play through, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't need to go play it again. It's not gonna make. I mean, some of it would make more sense, like anything, right? Like if you know the story, sometimes going back to the beginning, you're like, oh, okay, but again, other than that, it's not. It's a one-time replay or a one-time playthrough, and at a 3 to 4 hour game, 3 to 4 hours if you're not using a walkthrough, or no, 3 to 4 hours if you're using a walkthrough for the collectibles.
Yeah, if you're actually exploring, to their credit, there is a lot to explore. They did build quite the world, and these collectibles are often very far off the beaten path. Yeah. So if you actually went and just played the game for the sake of playing it and finding what's there, what they've built you're talking a good 10, 12 hours.
Oh, yeah. I mean, having played through, finished all the collectibles, so there's two sets of collectibles. You have to find bodies, literally bodies, corpses, and then you have to find a personal effect of each of the bodies. So basically like a momentum. Now, one of the nice things is in each chapter it tells you how many, IDs or bodies you're going to find, and it tells you how many personal effects you would find. So you would know early on, like, oh, okay, I'm in level 5 and I need to find 4 people and I have to find 3 personal effects, and it'll kind of check them off as you find them. But I'll tell you, like, not using a walkthrough and then getting through the end, I'd find all the bodies, but I'm sitting here going, I found 1 out of 3 of these personal effects, and I'd go through on the walkthrough, and I was literally walking right past them. Like, there's no way sometimes to tell, oh, I'm supposed to pick that thing up.
No, I completely agree.
Which, I think that's the worst collectible. I still enjoy the Assassin's Creed flags more.
I mean, at least you could see them. They were really obvious. Yeah, these...
Yeah. So, I mean, the mechanics, though, of just... As you say, you were having some of the problems in the platforming sections, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, the controls are... like the left stick controls your suit, and then the right stick controls your head, but not the camera. Which is the camera attached to, your body or your head? It always seemed weird trying to figure out sometimes. Like,
I'm assuming it's attached to your head just by the way it plays in the game, but I almost got to the point that I tried not to use the right stick much, just because I needed to see things that were on the screen. Like I wanted to pay attention to my oxygen level, or I wanted to see what else was going on, like on the other side, in case some wildlife was nearby.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a few achievements for defeating certain enemies, and you would think, okay, I'm in the bottom of the ocean. As big as the world was, there was definitely a very big lack of enemies and just, I guess variation. There's a cuttlefish, the anglerfish, and then octopus. An octopus looked like cuttlefish. Like, you're going, there's three
and
enemy
the
types.
little spider crab things.
Oh, yeah, the spider crab. Well, there's no achievement for those things because they just destroy you. Oh, by the way, if you're playing this game, spoiler alert, those crab things, you can't kill them. So, at the first level, when you keep dying at it, you're not gonna don't attack it head on. That doesn't
do what I did and try to kill it like 5 times before you just go and then walk around it. Let it go. Get around it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a little bit of stealth to the, but even those things, like, okay, you figure out that you can't kill that thing, and so you get around it. Okay, that's it. No enemy for, some long time. I mean, and you never really. I think I ran out of oxygen maybe 2 times, and then by the time you do the second playthrough, and it was like one of those things, like you were exploring and you ran out of oxygen. So when you get back to the checkpoint, you just kind of run through to the next spot because you're going, okay, I know there was nothing there that I wasted my time.
Actually, it saves whatever you had grabbed before you died.
Oh, no, exactly. So that makes it even better, right? So you find out that if you were actually running through the game at a normal clip, you'll never have a problem with oxygen.
No, yeah, they give it to you all over the place. Same with flares. You get them plentifully. I rarely use the flares either. I probably should use them more. I'm assuming they're there for a reason. Yeah,
it lights stuff up. That's about it. But if you know where the platforms are and all that, I just didn't find it like some of the mechanics were there. I don't know. It just never felt like it got very developed. I mean, the story, they definitely developed the story, but it's mechanics.
Yeah. It's a rough one for sure. I'll probably appreciate it a little more when I get to the far end of the game and unveil the whole story.
Yeah. So again, if you have put it down, I mean, the $20 price point, that's the thing that turned me off. For 3 to 4 hours, even though the story's good, the rest of the gameplay is not, in my opinion, a $20 game. It's a steep price for it. I mean, I could see $10 for it. And that's even pushing it. I mean, it's a good story if you play through it.
For the one playthrough and the short playthrough with a guide, if you're going for the collectibles, $20 is just it's just too much. Not to mention, like I say, it's got some slight buggy issues with your save. It may reset on you if you're unlucky. Yeah, if you really love walking sim kind of games, or if you like if you like a jump scare ish, not even really jump scares per se, I guess, I don't know. If you'd like to elevate your senses a little bit with some craziness, then maybe this would be all right. But I mean, Beyond Eyes is probably a better investment. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, if you want the Gamerscore, it's pretty easy on the Gamerscore, not terribly, difficult. You can get all of it on one run through. So, I mean, from a Gamerscore perspective, hey, you probably would buy, but for $20, that's like 3 or 4 of those arcade
Neo
classics.
Geo games.
Yeah, exactly. Play some old Neo Geo games. Samurai Showdown. Woohoo! So
Old school classics.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, again, the story was definitely great. It kind of is a unique premise, but yeah, it just otherwise it's just I don't know. For
this underwater game is just a little washed up.
Ooh, that was. You gotta take that one out to dry. All right. Okay, well, until next week, everybody.
Keep gaming.
All right. Thanks. See ya.
Fantastic. Well, so that's it for that. I already did my zombie news corner with Dead Alliance, so that takes us to the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. We so appreciate you being a part of this. Big thanks to Zach for taking time out of his day. I didn't push him super late like I do with Prue and Randy, where they don't go to bed till like 2, 3 in the morning. So that was nice. Zach, thank you for being part of the show.
Yeah, not a problem. It's great.
Are you going to listen to how you sound? I know Prue and Randy don't listen, although I guess Randy does now.
I listen now sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to get a link.
There you go. We'll hook you up.
I'll send it your way when it's up.
And if anyone out there who is listening, it would be so helpful if you could give us a review on iTunes or wherever, just whatever you think is appropriate, stars, comments. We would love to hear it. It's a great free way to promote the show. So anything there would be wonderful. And if you can financially support the show, patreon.com/Z2Z. That's all one word, ZEDTOZED. We hit our secondary goal. We're up to our third goal where we are going to do a full retail game every month to our patrons if we can get to that third goal, and then and just continue to boost the prize pools for everything we do each month. As it stands now, we get to keep paying out our contests as we have been, and so thank you again so much to everybody in our community for all of that. Zach, I don't know if you care or want to have anything to promote, or if you want people to get a hold of you at all, or just, I mean, it's your call. But Randy, if you want to set the stage, and if Zach wants to jump in, he can do too. So where can people find you, Randy?
Find me on True Achievements, Crandy. You can send me a PM on there, or at Twitter at Randy2727.
Perfect. And
yeah, I don't have anything to add. I don't have any Twitter.
You can remain anonymous, and then if we see you in Rec Room, we can you can mess with us.
Yeah, sounds good.
Delightful. There, as far as I'm concerned, you can reach me Freamhole, FREAMWHOLE. That's Twitter, gamertag, all sorts of good stuff like that. And then, of course, our Discord chat, discord.me/Freamhole is the place you want to go chat with the community. Hook up with for gaming sessions or just general nonsense in the gaming community. It is delightful. As far as the show, Twitter at Z2Z, and email contact@Z2Z.com. And since it's the end of the month, and I'll mention them in my contest roundup following this, would be get things posted in the forums so we can lock down July, get you some prizes. That's forum.z2z.com. So, on behalf of Zach, thank you again, Randy, Damien, Prue is off gallivanting somewhere, Warren, I've been Brandon, and to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, we've got the community roundup here quick. It is the end of July. By the time you're hearing this, well, it's now the beginning of August. Oh my gosh, it is time for new contests. The forums are flush with things to do. But let's start with the great True Achievement Score Challenge, the GTASC. We're in period 29, or we just wrapped up period 29. The teams, we have 36 teams left. 3 were eliminated. And nobody from our community was eliminated that I'm aware of. Our Smooth Sailing Award goes again to the Achievement Hounds podcast and NBA Kirkland. They got 5th place. And our near miss, a single spot, was X Towers and the Crash Test Dummies. They survived by 1,450 points, but they were the last ones before elimination, and they had to use 12,000 points of bonuses to stay alive. Hey, it's better than to go down with them. So best of luck on your next week. Hopefully you guys can turn it around. As far as the individual goes, we're down to 95 individuals. The Smooth Sailing Award goes to Redemption Denied for 16th place overall. Near miss, Montana 97, 20 spots, closest to elimination, with 1,376 TA, so pretty smooth sailing there. We did have one elimination. The host of the contest, Mr. Planting 42, Warren, 8 spots below elimination, 1,660 TA, cannot survive the individual eliminations. So he is done. Now he and I can both focus on all of the awesome True Achievements contests that are out there. Of course, when this show comes out, the Leapfrog is in effect. The way that so if you haven't seen that yet, go over to trueachievements.com. You can sign up. Maybe it's too late. I don't know if you can sign up midstream. I'm thinking you cannot. But the way it worked this year was we're still doing the ratio increase like we did last year, but we're also adding an achievement increase every week. So you start with a 1 and a 1.0, and then you need one achievement at a 1.2, one achievement at a 1.4, and then once you get to the second week, you need 2 achievements for whatever the next iteration is, 2.4 or something. I guess I can't count by 2s up to 7. 2.4. So 2 at 2.4, and then 2 at 2.6, 2, and then it goes up to 3 achievements at whatever that ratio is. And so, in theory, that should be a relatively short contest, but you people in the achievement hunting community always surprise me. So I am certain this is going to go much longer than I anticipate. But hey, best of luck to everybody. There's a ton of people in the community on there, so we will kind of chronicle those. If you're not on my friends list or have sent me a friend request, do so that I can track you guys in contests, because they have that handy achievement or a handy little banner thing on the side there where you can say follow all my friends' teams or my friends' scores and stuff like that. And so if you and I are friends on trueachievements.com, then I can just look at that super easy, and you get shout outs on the show and all sorts of stuff like that. So I pretty much accept everybody. I don't know what the limit is to the friend size, but I'm not there. So hey, if you're a listener and you want to be tracked easily, do that. That'd be the way to go. And if you're a listener and you visit me, I know I just had Elroy reach out, a relative. I think he's a new listener. At least he's new to the forums. He just joined up with the random to-do list. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the community. And he sent me a message on Xbox Live. And so hopefully in the near future, we can find some opportunities to game together and do fun stuff like that. So, and that reminds me, the Minnesota meetup, the Z2Z get-together on Saturday, since I'm recording this after that, was awesome. I can't wait to talk about it, but I'm not going to be on the show this week, so I'm going to talk about it I'll wait till next week. It'll be great, because I still do my little intro anyway, so, and I don't know how many people listen to the tail end here. But it is August, and so we now have the new random to-do list up. This is the last month for the 1-year challenge. So we will be giving a prize to the overall winner. There's only a couple people in contention for that. But after this month, September's rolling around, and we are kicking off with a brand new iteration of the contest. They will be shorter runs. I don't think we've quite finalized the rules yet. I'd still like to do a 12-month challenge and keep track of that, but I think breaking it up into little 3-month chunks is also a good idea, or 4-month chunks, whatever we end up doing. I think it's going to be 4 months. That's a great idea, too. So we suffice it to say, you'll be getting a list each month. Some of the sign-in changes, might need a little bit more games in your collection or available achievements. We might bump that up just a touch, just a hair. But, it's open to everybody, so if you're listening to this podcast and you want to sign up, just join up on the forums, forum.z2z.com. It is will now be the 5th annual great random to-do list challenge. But it's still not too late to get into August. You're hearing this at the beginning of the month. You don't have to start at the beginning. You could start on August 20th and still make a big dent into that. So whenever you hear this, jump on in, jump onto the forums, get in on some of this action. And even if you don't get a lot done this month, at least you can see what a list looks like and maybe start picking some of those games off that you don't want to see anymore. I was telling Elroy when he signed up, I was like, get onto your collection and start paring things down, because for me, I don't want to play any music games anymore. I'm done. The Guitar Hero guitars, maybe I'll get my son into it, but that's not now, and I don't want the random to-do list to tell me when. I will choose when that happens, and so music games, off the table. So it's great. I don't feel guilty about it at all, because I'm pretty sure all those plastic instruments I own are totally broken. But we do have the July community challenge, the anti-bean dive month. Get your submissions in. You have about a week before I close those out, so make sure you post the completions that you've earned in the month of July, and let me know if you started any of those fresh, so I can verify and give you bonus entries into the random draw for that. As far as August goes, well, it's Zombie Month, and I posted in the forums, so you can find the link to that there. We are looking for any achievement that comes from a game that has zombies in it. And so I've started a list in the forum post about what counts and what doesn't count. So, like, for instance, I only put 2 things in there for right now, because I'll begin to populate it as people go, because I don't want to just write every zombie game that's in there. There's so many of them, like iZombie and Left 4 Dead, and there's no point in putting those. Those are very clearly. But any of those fringe cases, I'm adding there. Or if you have a question, post it in the forums, and I will add those to the list on one side or the other. So the one example I came up with was Halo, right? So any game that has the Flood in it counts. I'm considering the Flood a zombie threat. But if it's not, there's no Flood in it, like Halo 4, doesn't count. That does mean, however, that the Halo Master Chief counts as a whole list. I'm not going to say, the Halo 4 specific ones in Master Chief, those don't count. No. The whole list will count. So the Master Chief Collection, fair game. Halo 4 list, off the table. So there, that's how I'm drawing the line for Halo. There are probably other ones, right? So if you have a question on what constitutes a zombie, post it in the forums, forum.z2z.com, and we will get it answered as soon as possible. The gamer tag, the reason it's Zombie Month is because this month's gamer tag for August is ZZ Urban Spaceman. And so, you know what? Z's, right? You got 2 of them, and they're hard to come by. Well, you're probably going to end up playing zombie games like Zombie Driver or Zombie, the Ubisoft London one. Or what else is out there that starts with the Z? Zenith? There's no zombies in that, I don't think. Although it's got discontinued, so maybe I don't know enough. Anyway, ZZ Urban Spaceman, a nice collection of letters, so good luck with that. Mocos, the Mocos July, named that game. I mentioned in the show, Spectra earned me 49 achievements for that. That is awesome. I'm hoping I posted it late enough in the month that nobody saw it. I'm being a little sneaky. As far as August goes, well, this upcoming month is called Going Digital. And you get an entry for every digit in an achievement. So, for instance, if you earn an achievement that's like hang 10, well, that's 2 entries because it has a 1 and a 0. If you earn, and it has to be the digit, not the word spelled out. And I know there's some out there that are like binary, like a bunch of 1s and 0s. Those are big points. So go find those. But yeah, any digit in an achievement name counts for this. So go out and find those, post them, and best of luck for that. I'd be remiss to not draw attention to our Discord channel, my Discord channel, discord.me/freamhole. That'll get you in. It's an open invitation to anybody. All you have to do is type that in your browser, and you can go right to my welcome page, and you are in. That is an awesome place to meet people from the community, set up boosting sessions, help pick off some of those random to-do list achievements, or get into our ongoing boosting sessions. We have thrown the gauntlet down. We are closing Titanfall on Thursdays, which means we are opening up to a brand new game, and I'm telling you, it is going to be Plants vs. Zombies on the 360. I'm starting there because I want to do that. There may be a contingent that goes with Plants vs. Zombies in the 1 or Plants vs. Zombies 2 or whatever, but we're moving to Plants vs. Zombies and trying to get all of those achievements done as a community. With enough people, we should be able to effectively control lobbies. Certainly in the 360 version, where in theory it's just a bunch of little kids who are left with their antiquated systems, and we can wreak havoc in there. Hopefully, when we go to the Xbox One version, that there's not quite as big of a population, and then maybe by that point, Plants vs. Zombies 2 doesn't have a significant contingent, or we just struggle through and do our best. Suffice it to say, they're going down. Of course, it's going to be 1 month too late, because I don't think we're starting until September, and we'll miss it for Zombie Month. But might as well get a head start, right? You can get used to the mechanics, maybe level up your characters a little bit. Regardless, you're welcome at any time if you're a beginner at it or you've got some characters already leveled up. All are welcome for when we move to Plants vs. Zombies. There's still plenty of other things we're doing. There's a Halo group going on Tuesday nights. My Diablo group is still going, but everyone's free to get together. I know we've kind of merged the two parties together, so the Diablo crew and the Halo crew are all talking on the same chat at the same night. So it's an awesome community to just chat and have fun. And you, like I said, you're welcome. Please join us, have some fun with us, because we need all the help we can get on earning some of these achievements. I think that's kind of about it, though. So, yeah. The last thing I want to mention is now that it is August, the Patreon will have hopefully pulled everybody's subscriptions, or that's not the right word, pledges, that's the right word, has pulled everyone's pledges. Thank you so much for everyone who has donated and has provided for this show. That funding helps support what we do here. It allows us to be able to keep doing this, pay for the editing software, pay for the hosting services, and most of all, pay for the prizes that go back to you. I just gave out 3 prizes last show, and those people, I know some of them have pledged, and they pledged less than what they won. And so now they're ahead of the game. And so it just takes 1 month, right? And you can earn back some of what you put into it. And once we get to that 3rd tier, I know we can do it. We will start giving out $60 game codes. And I can't wait till that happens. It's going to be amazing. And I know this community can do it. So thanks again. But you will notice on Discord, hopefully, if the functionality works correctly, you'll see a bunch of gold names pop up, and those are our illustrious patrons. And then I don't deride people for not being a patron, right? So if they're not gold, they may be supporting on the back end. The only people that you can are Prue and Randy, because if they're not gold, then go ahead and just, take them down a peg. Because, come on, guys, you're on the show. Support it. Anyway, that's, you're free to do whatever you want with that. As for that, I think that's it for this week. Again, get onto the forums, forum.z2z.com. Post anything that you had from July so that we can count it and give out prizes and start looking at what you have to do for August. I can't wait. The start of the months are always so much fun for me. They're my favorite. And I hope they're your favorite too. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and we'll catch you next week. Good luck, everyone. See ya.